Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto drops his mask at the Chunin exams part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Welcome to my life. Yo, my name is Uzumaki Naruto. For the last 12 years of my life, I have been living a lie. What do you mean by that, you ask? Simple. People hate me. They think I don't know why they hate me. Oh, how wrong they are. You see, from an early age, people took pleasure in beating me and ridiculing me. Often, the word demon would come up in the beatings. Many years ago, I decided crying and just accepting the fact that people hate me and crying over it wasn't a good life to lead. I decided to find out what could possibly make them hate me so much. I quickly learned the henge skill at age 9 after a few failed attempts to get into the Konoha library as myself. After learning the henge skill, I walked in and straight past the receptionist who smiled at me. I had chosen the appearance of one very well-known Uchiha Sasuke. Since I had decided to use him as my appearance, I thought I should probably try to lean about his behavior patterns in case someone questioned me on something. Once inside, I had no idea where to start searching. The only clue I had was demon and also kitsune, which was muttered less often than demon. I went straight to the history section and looked for mythological creatures. There was a small passage on kitsunes, which I read, but it gave me only one small clue. Kitsunes could have a number of tails, depending on how powerful they were. The maximum was 9. I decided to search the history section of Konoha, and I flipped through the index until I found exactly what I wanted. Going to the page, I saw that 9 years ago on my birthday, the Lord of Demons, the Kyuubi no Kitsune had attacked Konoha, and many ninjas had been sacrificed to beat it. However, among the list of those who died was the Yondaime Hokage. Apparently, he had not only killed himself, but the Kyuubi too. This made me think. If he killed it, then why do they call me demon? Unless... Naruto thought about something. He had overheard two jounin talking about shinjutsus, or suicide techniques. Naruto eagerly went and looked up a book with jutsu types and a list of the known ones. He heard the librarian walk up to him and smile. Forgive me, Sasuke-san, but we are closing for the afternoon. If you want, you can borrow that book and a few others for the night. I looked up and gave away no emotions. I turned to her and looked her in the eye. Do you have any books on shinjutsu and a list of them, especially ones known to belong only to Konoha ninjas? The librarian frowned as she concentrated. Well, we do have a book on all known shinjutsus of this village, but we require special permission from Hokage-sama himself for anyone to view the book, and we are not allowed to let it leave its place. Naruto scowled, imitating Sasuke perfectly. This seemed to have the desired effect on the young librarian, as she smiled at him. I'm sure Hokage-sama will give you permission. I will send a request to him tomorrow morning. If you come at about lunchtime, you should be allowed to see it. Naruto nodded his thanks and put the book back, before walking out the door. Once he had gotten into an empty alley, I released the henge and scowled. God, Sasuke's such a cold-hearted bastard. Can't really blame him though, since he saw his whole clan killed in front of him. Naruto walked home, eagerly waiting to get to that book. After a quick bowl of cup ramen, Naruto brushed his teeth and went to bed. Next morning, 11 a.m. Naruto had been up for several hours now. However, the problem was finding Sasuke to use him for a henge. At around about 11 a.m., he saw Sasuke running down the street. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Sasuke doesn't usually run, it makes him look uncool. Soon, Naruto heard a distant thundering, and looked in the direction it was coming from. What he saw amazed him. There was a huge group of fangirls chasing him down the street. Naruto got an idea. He smirked and ran after Sasuke. Once he had caught up, Sasuke scowled at him. What do you want, Naruto? Naruto smiled at him, matching him pace for pace. Looks like you're having trouble with your fangirls. Sasuke's scowl deepened, and he considered punching Naruto in the face. Need some help getting rid of them? Sasuke almost stopped, before he remembered what he was running from. How exactly are you going to help? Naruto rolled his eyes and formed a ram's seal as they rounded a corner, out of sight from everyone. Like this. Henge. Naruto was surrounded by a puff of smoke, before the smoke rolled off him to reveal a perfect copy of Sasuke. Naruto used one of Sasuke's smirks. Get out of here, I'll get rid of them. Sasuke nodded dumbly, and ran off to the only place he was safe from them. The Uchiha Manor. Naruto quickly pulled out some supplies he had gathered for a practical joke. Namely, a can of paint and an explosive note. Naruto quickly pried the can open and shoved the exploding note inside, resealing it just as the girls rounded the corner. They saw the man of their dreams and rushed forward. Naruto held up his hand in a motion that told them to stop, which they did before Naruto spoke. Have you taken in your surroundings? They had no clue what he was talking about and charged forward again. However, Naruto had expected this, and formed a seal which started the explosive note's timer. Naruto jumped between the walls and landed on the roof, just as the note exploded, sending paint everywhere. He could tell the girls had stopped, so he looked over at them. It was priceless. The entire alleyway was pure white, except for very human-shaped splotches where the girls had blocked the paint with their bodies. They clearly had no clue as to what had just happened, so Naruto decided to enlighten them. A ninja must always be aware of their surroundings. Seems you learned the hard way. With that, Naruto laughed darkly as he headed for the library, leaving the stunned girls behind. A short time later, at the library, Naruto ran to the library, hoping he wasn't too late. When he burst through the front door, he saw the Hokage and the librarian waiting for him. Naruto walked up to him. Sorry for keeping you waiting, Hokage-sama. The Hokage waved it off and motioned him to follow, which he did. Once the Hokage reached a door that was made of pure metal, he put his hands to it and muttered Kai, and the door flashed a brilliant white before it opened. Once inside, the Hokage resealed the door and turned to Naruto. You can drop the henge, Naruto. Naruto slumped his shoulders and muttered Kai, releasing the henge. The Hokage gave Naruto a solemn look. What could you possibly want to know about Shinjutsu? Naruto sighed, deciding that telling a lie right now will only cause more trouble. I want to know about a particular seal that is also a Shinjutsu. The Hokage's eyes widened in surprise, knowing exactly which one the boy was talking about. Shikifujin. Naruto nodded, guessing that was what he was looking for. The Hokage took a puff of his pipe before expelling the smoke out the side of his mouth. I suppose we might as well start from the beginning. The Hokage took a seat and motioned for Naruto to take the seat next to him, which he did. He began telling Naruto how the Yondaime was a master of seals, and he even created his own major seal called the Shikifujin to deal with the Kyuubi. He had used it to seal it inside Naruto the day he was born, purposely leaving out the fact that Naruto was his son. Naruto took this hard, but it all made sense now. Every single bit of it. At the end of the explanation, Naruto turned to the Hokage. Old man, they're only making it harder for me to suppress the Kyuubi. The old man sighed before taking another drag. I know, Naruto, I know. Please don't give in to them. Naruto sighed and stood up before transforming back into Sasuke, who he knew so well by now that he could do the henge without Sasuke standing in front of him. He turned back to the Hokage as he walked out the door once the Hokage had unsealed it. Thanks for that, Hokage-sama. No problem, Sasuke. With that, Naruto went back outside and ran home. The villagers' looks of pure hatred and contempt hurt so much more now that he knew why. Once he got home, he huddled up against the wall of his bedroom and did something he hadn't done in a while. He cried. He cried himself to sleep, which came long after he got home. When Naruto woke up, he heard an unfamiliar drip. 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 He grumbled to himself about getting a plumber to fix it as he opened his eyes to see that this was not his home. It was some maze of dilapidated sewers. How the hell did I get here? Naruto heard a bone-chilling laugh, followed by a voice that could have frozen a man's heart cold. Why don't you come here and find out? Naruto slowly trudged towards the direction of the noise. After a while he felt he could not go any further. He turned a corner and saw a bright light down the corridor. With the last of the strength he had left, he walked into the light, only to reveal a giant cage with a single slip of paper saying seal holding it closed. At that point, a giant pair of eyes and a mouth full of serrated teeth appeared, grinning at him. So you finally showed up, eh? Naruto's mind knew instantly what this was and he fell on his butt, sending a small amount of water that covered the floor everywhere. Kyuubi? The demon smiled even wider. At least my container isn't totally stupid. I could have gotten worse, I guess. Naruto recovered slightly from the initial shock and got back up. He stared at the Kyuubi, without wavering, and uttered a single word. Why? The Kyuubi, for once, didn't have a response. The Kyuubi knew exactly what Naruto was asking, but didn't feel like going into detail right now. I'll tell you some other time. Right now, I need to tell you something, so listen up, and listen good, kid, 'cause I'm only saying this once. Naruto listened to the Kyuubi, waiting for what he had to say. You have a hell of a life ahead of you. You will be hunted for me by some of the strongest humans in the world. Because I'd die if you do, I'm going to be your life support in a way. If you need it, just call me and I'll pump some chakra into you. Naruto nodded in understanding. The Kyuubi smiled at him. It's about time you went back, kid. Naruto awoke to find that it was almost morning, so he crawled into bed, still puzzled by the Kyuubi's last words. He went to sleep in a complete daze. Next morning, Naruto had slept fitfully, images of the legendary demon fox flicking through his mind's eye as he slept. He woke with a start as he saw the fox coming towards him, grabbing him in his jaws and crushing down on him, completely mutilating his body, blood spraying everywhere. Naruto was hyperventilating and was bathed in a cold sweat. He shakily got out of the futon and stumbled into the shower, washing himself, before getting out and taking care of his other hygiene matters. He wandered into the kitchen. He was on autopilot as he boiled the water for some cup ramen. The only thing that his mind was focusing on was the disturbing conversation from last night. After Naruto had eaten, he went back to the bathroom to brush his teeth. Checking the alarm clock beside his bed, noticing he had about half an hour to get to the academy. Picking up his bag and keys, he stepped out the door and slipped his mask on, although this morning it was far more difficult than usual. By the time he got to the academy, he had managed to completely put his mask of the dobe on, as he called it. He walked through the academy halls, into his home room. When he opened the door, he noticed as per normal, everyone turned to see who it was and then turned back the second they saw the shock of yellow and orange, not giving a damn about the dobe, which was perfectly fine by Naruto. As he slipped into his usual place, he saw that Sasuke had taken the seat next to him already, looking at Naruto and slipping him a note, which Naruto expertly hid from the view of everyone. He read it, noticing it as a very Sasuke way of saying thanks for yesterday, which turned out to come in the words of not half bad, dobe. Naruto nodded to him, indicating he understood and not to mention it. At this point, Naruto heard a group of high-pitched screams from his left, and turned to see the much-dreaded Sasuke fan club standing over him. Naruto did his normal routine as he winced at their scream and cat calls of things like "How dare you sit next to Sasuke-kun," and the like. However, everyone was surprised when Sasuke turned to them and scowled. Let him sit where he wants. Do you have a problem with that? The girls backed up at the tone that the object of their desires had shot them down with for doing something for their precious Sasuke-kun they believed was a favor. Eventually, all of the girls returned to their seats, and Naruto turned to Sasuke with a raised eyebrow, causing Sasuke to turn and look out the window, looking bored. Now we're even. Naruto smiled and sat back. Just then, Iruka came into the class, announcing a history lesson on the Kyuubi. Naruto stiffened considerably, which a few people noticed, including Iruka. Iruka smiled sadly as he gave a look that said please bear with me, however Naruto barely suppressed his anger. By now, everyone could feel the absolute hatred rolling off Naruto and were staring at him in disbelief. Iruka sighed and walked to the front of the room and began the lesson. After a while Naruto shot up and stormed out of the room. Iruka tried to stop him, however, Naruto turned back to him and growled at him. Don't you ever discuss this subject in front of me again. With that he slammed the door, leaving Iruka to try and suppress the students from causing an uproar. He decided a half-truth would suffice. Naruto has just found out yesterday that the Kyuubi killed both of his parents on the day of his birth. He's still taking it rather hard. Everyone saw Naruto in a new light. No wonder he was lonely. Sasuke seemed to have a rather hunted look on his face. He started conversing with no one in particular, although everyone heard him. He's lost everything just like me. Coming from Sasuke's mouth, it meant so much more. Everyone tried to maintain some semblance of a regular class. After class was let out, Sasuke was the first out, running off to try and find out where Naruto was. His fangirls were hot on his heels, however, Sasuke turned and glared at them with nothing but absolute hatred in his eyes. Don't you damn girls have any tact? After what you've heard today, do you really think Naruto would appreciate you hanging around him and me? Go home, and don't any of you dare follow me. With that, Sasuke went to start his search for the blonde-haired boy. Several hours later, out the front of the academy, Sasuke returned to the last place on the list he knew Naruto hung out, which was the swing in front of the academy. Luckily, the boy was there. Sasuke slowly approached him, causing Naruto to look at him with eyes full of pain, suffering and loneliness. Naruto formed a weak smile for Sasuke. You felt it too, right? The pain of losing them. Sasuke nodded and sat against the tree. Naruto did one of his fake smiles to cover up his sadness, however Sasuke stared at him. Drop the front. I've been watching you, and I know you're not who others think you are. Naruto's eyes widened and he smiled sadly at Sasuke. Thank you? Sasuke gave a hum and looked at Naruto. What he saw was a reflection of him in the first few months after the clan's slaughter. Thank you? You're the first person to notice that I'm not the idiot I try and convince others I am. Sasuke smiled knowingly at him. When you go through the pain we have, it's impossible not to see others that have gone through it, not matter what kind of mask they put on. Keep the mask up in public, however, when we're alone, I think we might as well drop the charade. Naruto nodded and they sat in silence, occasionally chucking comments at each other every now and then. After several hours, Sasuke got up and gave a smile to Naruto. Not the usual cocky smirk, but the kind of smile one would give to their friends. Naruto smiled back at him as Sasuke turned to leave, holding a hand up in the air. Catch you tomorrow at the academy, Naruto. Naruto waved back and decided that not all of life was bad. He slowly walked back to his apartment, before quickly changing into his sleepwear and going to sleep almost the second his head hit the pillow. 3 years later. Naruto and Sasuke had both benefited from the mutual understanding of the pains of their past. Naruto had even worked up the courage to tell Sasuke about the Kyuubi not long ago. Naruto was surprised to no end when Sasuke just seemed to take it into his stride as if it wasn't anything too far out of the ordinary. Today was the day of the academy graduation test. Sasuke had made a dare with Naruto that he drop the mask and show them what he was really capable of. When Naruto asked what the reward was if he did, Sasuke grinned evilly. I'll buy you as much ramen as you want in one meal. Sasuke had found out long ago that Naruto's Achilles heel was ramen. Naruto took the bait perfectly and agreed to do it. When they came into the classroom and took their seats, Iruka called the roll, checking everyone was here. When he motioned everyone to follow him outside to the shuriken throwing area. Once they were assembled, Iruka motioned Sasuke forward, who with his usual cocky smirk, flicked his wrist, releasing the shuriken. All of them landed inside the targets on the log, all of them getting prefect bullseyes. Iruka motioned Naruto forward whose side, wondering if this was worth it. He flicked his wrist with the same ease as Sasuke had. To everyone's shock, the shuriken didn't miss by a mile like they normally would. They all landed perfectly in the bullseyes. Iruka was stunned, as were the rest of the class. Some of them started muttering things like fluke and lucky. Naruto was content to let the idiots think that, however he saw in Iruka's eyes that he understood that what Naruto had done was done with pure skill gained from years of endless practice, and had nothing to do with luck. After everyone else had completed the first test, Iruka walked back inside. He had them line up in front of him, and he announced the next test. The next test is a henge test. You must henge into me. First, Uchiha Sasuke. Sasuke grumbled and stepped up, muttering henge and transformed into a perfect Iruka. Iruka nodded, before he looked to the next in line. Next, Uzumaki Naruto. Everyone knew Naruto sucked at henge, and there was no way to fluke this. As Naruto stepped up, he could feel almost everyone glaring at him, almost willing him to fail. Naruto half lazily muttered henge, and he was surrounded by a veil of smoke. When it cleared, there was Iruka, and a perfect copy of him at that. The others looked astonished that Naruto hadn't attempted something stupid, like some of the perverted ninjutsus he was rumored to be creating. Naruto was surrounded by another cloud of smoke, and when it cleared there was the normal Naruto. He walked back to his usual seat, where Sasuke was sitting, purposely ignoring the stares. After the test came the test that everyone knew Naruto absolutely hated, the Bunshin test. Iruka told them to go into the next room one at a time as their names were called. Sasuke was called first, who came out a few moments later and showed his Hitaite to Naruto with a quick flash, then disappeared. Naruto knew if he tried to do a Bunshin, he'd fail miserably. However, he prepared something else. Iruka popped his head in and called Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto, you're up. Naruto went with a grin on his face that rivaled a fox's. People could hear his cry from next door as he announced his technique, however, it was not what they expected. Kaige Bunshin no Jutsu. They heard the sound of wood creaking and groaning under extreme stress before they heard the door shatter, and they ran outside to see that Naruto's clones were piled out the door on top of each other. Shikamaru was the first to pick up that something was amiss. They're solid. Everyone noticed this as the clones poofed out of existence, and they heard Iruka stutter, trying to find something to say. Na Naruto? Naruto turned to Iruka. What? Didn't I create enough? I can create more if you want. Iruka madly failed his arms, indicating it was okay. Naruto, that's a Jounin level jutsu. Naruto nodded. And? I can't do regular Bunshin, so I just had to try for the next level up. Iruka waved him towards the table of the Hitaite, where Naruto picked one with black cloth and fastened it around his head. Naruto charged outside to see Sasuke waiting for him with a look of pure amusement on his face. You really didn't have to go that far to win the dare, you know. Naruto snickered and walked up to Sasuke, who fell into step beside him, as they both walked towards Ichiraku's for the prize Sasuke had promised Naruto. Formation of Team 7 and heading to the wave. Next morning at the academy. Naruto turned up early that morning and took his regular seat next to Sasuke, who gave him a nod, which was his indication of good morning while they were in public. Naruto returned it, and then turned to the front of the class as Iruka walked in. Iruka started a long-winded speech about how life would be hard from now on, and they had many trials ahead of them. He looked over his graduating class and then down at his clipboard. I will now announce the teams. Starting with Team 7, Uzumaki Naruto, said student shot to attention at this. Iruka continued. Uchiha Sasuke. Naruto didn't contain his joy as he pumped the air and gave a yada off, causing everyone to look at him. Sasuke was happy with that as well. Iruka went and announced the last team member. And Hirano Sakura. Sakura jumped up with her own yada while Naruto and Sasuke banged their heads on the desk in unison and groaned. Shikamaru looked at Iruka in question. Iruka-sensei, what's with putting the 3 strongest people on one team? Aren't they supposed to be balanced? Iruka nodded. And they are, Shikamaru. Although Naruto got the highest scores in the final exams, the placements take into consideration your entire year's mark, not just the tests. Even if Naruto came first in the final tests, he was still bottom of the class. Shikamaru nodded and went back to staring out the window, content with the answer. After Iruka had announced the other teams, he told them which rooms to wait in for their new Jounin senseis. When Naruto heard the name of Cell 7's Jounin, he groaned and slammed his head on the desk multiple times, causing Iruka to look at him. Is something wrong, Naruto? Naruto looked at Iruka with a look of hurt in his eyes. Did you really have to give us that guy? He's 2 hours late to everything that's not life-threatening. Iruka sighed, shaking his head. He personally asked to teach your cell, which Hokage-sama agreed to. Naruto just trudged out of the room. Sasuke followed him with the ever-loyal lapdog that was Sakura close behind. 2 hours later in Team 7's room. Naruto counted down the minutes and seconds before he turned to the door and pointed at it just as it was opening. You're late, Kakashi-sensei. Why the hell are you always so tardy? Kakashi walked in to reveal a man in navy blue pants and shirt with a Jounin flak jacket over his shirt. He wore fingerless gloves that had metal plates on the back of the hands. He wore a mask that covered the majority of his face and all of his neck, and his hitaide covered his left eye, and he had a shock of silver hair standing up. He smiled in that oh-so-familiar irritating fashion, making Sasuke doubt his capacity while Sakura took her crush's example and doubted him. Kakashi looked at them before giving him. My first impression of you guys is... Naruto knew exactly what was coming, and answered for them. Annoying, right? You should really watch what you say, you sound like a hypocrite. Kakashi looked at Naruto and smiled lazily. Meet me on the roof. With that, Kakashi poofed out of existence, and Team 7 followed him to the roof. Once they were there, he motioned to the steps, and they took their seats. Kakashi leaned up against the railing, and folded his arms over his chest. Well, I need to get to know you guys first, so tell me your names, likes, dislikes, hobbies, and dreams. Sakura didn't understand, so she looked at her new sensei questioningly. Ne-sensei, why don't you go first? Kakashi nodded and started. My name is Hatake Kakashi. My likes are none of your business. Naruto smiled and decided to toy with his new sensei. He means he likes to read little orange books. Kakashi continued. Neither are my dislikes. He means he doesn't like people who harm his precious books. My hobbies. Likes reading and collecting the books. As for my dream, you would never understand. He means he wants to star in the movie for his books and meet the author himself. Kakashi stared at the boy in interest. He apparently knew everything about him. He pointed to Naruto. Since you think you know so much about me, why don't you go? Fine. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. As for my likes and dislikes, those who deserve to know them already do. My hobbies are training. Dreams, I have one, but if I told you, you'd piss your pants. Sakura suddenly saw that Naruto wasn't the bright bubbly boy she thought she knew. Kakashi turned to Sasuke. Right, you next, Uchiha? My name is Uchiha Sasuke. My likes and dislikes are none of your business. My hobbies are training and getting stronger. As for my dreams, I have two. First is to kill a certain man. The other is to revive my clan. Naruto smiled knowingly while Sakura naturally thought it was cool. Naruto laughed mentally. How little that idiot actually knows. Kakashi turned to the girl. Right, you next? My name is Haruno Sakura. I like insert sideways glance at Sasuke here. I dislike Ino Pig. My hobbies another sideways look here and my dreams sideways look at Sasuke with complimentary high-pitched squeal. Naruto and Sasuke groaned. Kakashi sighed mentally. Great. An Avenger, a mentally corrupted demon container, and a love-sick puppy. I've got a hell of a lot of work to do. Kakashi reached into his pocket and pulled out 2 bells. Naruto had a fair idea of what was about to transpire. Right. We're going to do a test to see if you can keep the rank of genin. Naturally, Sakura had to open her big mouth. Nani? But we already passed the genin graduation exam. Naruto sighed. That only proved we could perform the abilities. This will prove we know when to use them in a real-life situation. Kakashi nodded. Naruto was obviously smarter than he let on. The test will have a 66% failure rate. Those who do not pass will be sent to redo their training at the academy. Sasuke slapped a hand over Sakura's mouth to keep her from one of her screaming fits. Seriously, Sakura. Learn when to shut up. Naruto stared at Kakashi. Let me guess, you're going to tell us not to eat breakfast, right, because we'll throw up? Kakashi's eyes narrowed. This guy's damn sharp. According to his grades, he was the dobe of the class. Kakashi did his laid-back smile. Yup. Well, meet at the training grounds at 5 a.m. Ja. With that, Kakashi poofed out of existence. Sasuke and Naruto got up, with Sakura dragging along behind Sasuke. Before Sakura could ask the question, Sasuke turned around. Don't. I'm tired of you fangirls asking me for dates. If you seriously think you're worth me taking out on a date, prove it. Prove to me that you are worth it. Until then, never ask me again. Sakura felt her heart shatter at the harsh words that Sasuke used and fell to her knees. Naruto saw what she was about to do and sighed. Asking Sasuke to wait for him, he went up to Sakura. Sakura, do you know why Sasuke says harsh things like that? Sakura shook her head. It's because he's scared. Scared that if he gets attached to more people, he'll lose them again like he did his clan. That's why he only makes attachments to people who can defend themselves against anything. By proving you're worth it, he meant prove you're as strong as he is. Personally, I'd say drop it. You have no idea what you're trying to get yourself into. Sasuke and I have led a dark past and well have our minds set on one goal only. After that, we have nothing to live for. Be careful what you wish for, Sakura. Sakura was shocked by the words. Sasuke? Scared? That couldn't be right. Naruto sensed this and laughed heartlessly. You would be scared shitless if a 13-year-old murdered your entire clan and then replayed it to you in your own mind. Sakura gasped. The Uchiha clan had been murdered by a 13-year-old? Naruto smiled at her, although the smile was devoid of emotions, and nodded. With that, he went back to Sasuke as they walked back to Ichiraku's for lunch. Next morning, 7:30 a.m. Naruto and Sasuke appeared at the training grounds half an hour after they knew Kakashi would be there. He stared at them. Why were you late? Naruto burst out laughing. You come 2 hours late every day and you call us late because we decided to show you what it feels like for once. Please. Kakashi sighed and pulled out a timer before placing it on a stump and set it. This will go off at noon. You have until then to get a bell. If you do not get a bell, you will be tied to the stump and watch the others eat. This had the desired effect on Sakura, whose stomach growled. However, Sasuke and Naruto smiled. Kakashi sighed. He'd really have to talk to these two about following orders. Go! All 3 of them body flickered away and Kakashi pulled out his famous little orange book and began reading. Naruto, who was with Sasuke, groaned and slapped his hand to his forehead. Sasuke looked somewhat disappointed. Naruto turned to Sasuke. Whatever you do, do not turn your back to him. Sasuke nodded, although Naruto could tell Sasuke didn't grasp what he meant. He's a pervert through and through. Turn your back to him, and he'll perform a move called Kanehagir Instant Taijutsu Oji, Sannin Garoshi. All it is a super-ass poke. Sasuke's sweat dropped. However, Naruto had a plan and he began discussing it with Sasuke, who smiled evilly. Naruto took off his Hitite, catching the sunlight so it shone directly onto Sakura's face. Sakura decided they were indicating her to attack, so she charged at Kakashi. Not exactly what Naruto had in mind, but it'd do. Naruto nodded to Sasuke and created a Kage Bunshin, which he sent out to take Kakashi from head-on. The Naruto clone decided to play dumb and make what appeared to be Genin-level attacks, but in reality, he was holding back. He purposely let Kakashi get behind him and the real Naruto indicated to start their plan. You shouldn't let an enemy see your back multiple times, Baka. True to Naruto's theory, Kakashi formed a Tora seal. The Naruto clone feigned being scared as Kakashi used the super-ass poke. However, he did not realize until too late that Naruto and Sasuke were behind him, who had body flickered in while Sakura body flickered in front of him. You were saying? Also, don't use your moves carelessly, or they'll be used against you, Baka. Naruto quickly formed a Tora seal and proceeded to give Kakashi a taste of his own medicine. Kanahagure Instant Taijutsu Oji, Sannin Garoshi. Naruto launched Kakashi into the air while Sasuke and Sakura each jumped up and grabbed a bell while Kakashi was still trying to contemplate how Naruto knew one of his own motos. Kakashi looked up just in time to see the three genin laughing at Kakashi. Kakashi stood up and smiled. Right, let's go tie Naruto up. Naruto waggled a finger at Kakashi. I may not have gotten a bell, but I got something even better. Kakashi looked in horror to see his orange book in Naruto's hands. Kakashi checked his pouch to see that it was indeed missing. Naruto flipped it open and pulled his Hitite over his left eye, doing a Kakashi impersonation. Kakashi smiled and held his hand out. Naruto looked at it and smiled. So, are you going to pass all of us? Kakashi sighed. Well, you did understand the true meaning of this test, which was teamwork. I've never passed a team before, because they were Bakas who just followed my rules unquestioningly. So. Kakashi turned around and gave them a genuine smile. You pass. Naruto gave Sasuke a high five while Sakura gave her usual yada. Kakashi continued smiling. It seems that Sasuke and Naruto get along perfectly, however, Sakura seems to be the odd man out, so to speak. But you were able to put your differences behind you and work together to beat me. They were all smiles as Kakashi waved them to the 3 bento boxes on the ground. Eat up, guys and girl. Starting tomorrow, we begin missions as Cell 7. Also remember one rule. They looked up at Kakashi, waiting for his rule. Those who don't listen to orders are scum, however, those who don't take care of their friends are lower than that. Remember that well. They nodded as they finished up their bento boxes and walked their separate ways. About a week later, in the mission office. Cell 7 had been doing a hell of a lot of stupid missions that weren't even fit for an academy student. Finally, after returning a very troublesome cat, as Shikamaru would have called it, the feudal lord's wife left after paying, and the Hokage looked through the mission listing. Let's see, your next mission will be babysitting an elder's grandson, shopping at a nearby village, digging up sweet potatoes. No. The single word made the entire room look at Naruto, demanding an explanation. How the hell could you classify these as missions? I wouldn't even subject academy students to this. I'm sure, being the Hokage, you've realized by now that every single mission we've been assigned is easily doable by non-ninjas. Why bother squandering village resources like this? Everyone looked at Naruto, trying to find some flaw in his argument. However, it was perfect. Every single part of it was true. Iruka stood up to try and defend the Hokage, but the Hokage just motioned to sit back down. So, you think you can handle a real mission? Let's see. The Hokage shuffled through the papers before finding one in particular. What about a C-class mission to the wave? Naruto laughed mentally. This was an AC class. The only person who would come to a ninja village from the wave would be to ask protection from Gado, making it at least B class. Naruto saw that Sasuke had realized this as well. Naruto grinned and Kakashi nodded. We'll take it. The Hokage nodded. Then I'll introduce you to your client. You can come in now. The door opened to reveal a thick-set man with graying hair and beard. He also wore glasses and was obviously drunk. He looked at them and gave them. These are the people that you assigned to protect me? They look like super idiots, especially the one in orange. Naruto smiled. I could kill you in one of 7 different vital areas in under a second without you realizing. I'd suggest you reconsider that remark. The man stiffened up at this remark, instantly becoming sober. He sighed and nodded to the Hokage as he led them out of the mission office. When Naruto got out of earshot of the room, he called to the old man. I know the wave country is poor, but it's not a good idea to deceive the mission handlers about the mission's difficulty. The man stood ramrod straight and looked the boy in horror. He decided a get trip was in order. Well, I don't mind if you guys dump the mission. It'll be sad when my daughter and grandson dies. Naruto smiled. Well, why don't we have a little discussion then? Tell us as much as you know about the enemy, and we'll adjust accordingly. If you don't tell us all you know, we will dump the mission, which we have every right to do so. The man nodded and began telling them about the Gato Corporation, who it was known to hire and its numbers, which was admittedly vague, but Naruto had expected this. Gato was known to keep his numbers and employees well hidden. For a week, they trudged towards the wave country encountering no resistance. Demon brothers aren't in this one. Finally, they got to a river where a boat was waiting. They walked towards the boat and got on. The man nodded. To their client. Tazuna, we've been expecting you. Are these the ninjas you brought? Tazuna nodded and the man in the boat started up the engine to get going. Soon, they entered a thick mist and the man cut the engines. Please be very quiet. Gato's men patrol this area, so from here on we have to row. They nodded, keeping their senses steeled. They managed to reach the shore without incident, and they set out towards the main village of the wave. Naruto felt a wave of killer intent directed towards him, and he charged forward, tackling Sakura and Tazuna to the ground. Sasuke and Kakashi were quick enough to react by themselves. Naruto looked at the giant sword that had embedded itself in a nearby tree. Naruto smirked. I'd recognize that sword anywhere. A disembodied voice came from around them. Oh? Recognize me? 3 guesses. I only need one. Former member of the Hidden Mist 7 Shinobi Swordsman, Momochi Zabuza, also known as the Demon of the Mist. Wanted mainly for a failed assassination attempt on the Mizukage. Considered an upper A, bordering on lower S rank missing nin. Zabuza laughed. You're a good kid. It's unusual for a genin to know so much about missing nins. I have to know my animes if I want to live. One of them happens to be a former acquaintance of yours. And who would that be? Hazagake. Kisame. Zabuza paused for a moment, before laughing. You got yourself some powerful enemies, kid. You must have severely pissed off Kisame to make him an enemy of yours. So, since you have Kisame as an enemy, I would have assumed you've trained yourself to be able to at least hold your own for a while? Naruto laughed, continuing with the pre-battle banter. Yeah, I trained alright. You would be a good measuring stick to see how far I've come. Just then, Zabuza's body flickered to stand on the handle of his sword and look down at the group. Naruto smiled with nothing but confidence in his eyes. Everyone else was either shaking or, in Kakashi's case, planning what to do. Zabuza stared at the kid who had spoken to him. You don't look like much, kid. Naruto smiled. Want to find out if that's true? Zabuza smirked and pulled the sword out of the tree. Kakashi saw that Naruto was about to charge him, and put a hand on his shoulder. Naruto, he's out of your league. Everyone, get in formation and protect Tazuna. Naruto sighed and got in formation. Kakashi decided to lift his headband and end this quickly. What Sasuke saw shocked him. Is that the Sharingan? Naruto nodded. It's not his, per se. He can't use it to the full potential because he's not an Uchiha. Apparently, he came back from a mission with his left eye slashed, and he had a Sharingan instead of the normal eye. Also, his teammate who was an Uchiha didn't come back from the mission. That's all I could find out. Sasuke nodded and watched as Zabuza pulled the sword out of the tree and body flickered to stand on top of the water nearby before announcing his technique. Ninpu, Kirigakure no Jutsu. The mist slowly surrounded them and separated them from Kakashi. Naruto smiled. He knew what was coming next, and decided to spoil the mood. Let me guess, Zabuza. The 8-point speech, right? Do you ever come up with anything original? Zabuza said nothing. At that point, they felt a burst of chakra and the mist around them cleared, revealing Kakashi surrounded by an aura of chakra. Naruto could sense the fear rolling of Sasuke in waves and turned to him. Sasuke, that is exactly how Zabuza wants you to react. Don't forget I'm here. He won't get to you without a fight. Sasuke nodded, regaining his resolve and steeled himself. At that point, Zabuza appeared in the middle of them. I wonder if you can. This is it. With that, Zabuza swung his sword around, But to everyone's surprise, Naruto jumped in the way of the sword and stabbed his kunai into Zabuza's stomach before he could complete the swing. Naruto watched as a clear liquid came out of Zabuza's wound in a steady stream. Eventually, the entire clone turned to water and fell to the ground. Zabuza appeared behind Naruto. You're good for a genin, I'll give you that. However, you won't live through this. Zabuza cleaved Naruto in half only to find it poofed out of existence. Zabuza's eyes widened. Kagebunshin? Kakashi appeared behind Zabuza with a kunai to his neck. None of us are to be underestimated, Zabuza. This is the end for you. Another Zabuza appeared behind Kakashi, sword poised to strike. Is it Kakashi? Kakashi stiffened in surprise before he destroyed the Mizubunshin in front of him and ducked in time to avoid the horizontal swipe, only to receive a swift kick to the chin, sending him flying into the river. Zabuza ran at Kakashi, jumping over the caltrops and into the water. Kakashi broke the surface and looked at the water in worry. What's with this water? It's heavy for some reason. Zabuza's body flickered behind Kakashi and formed a short set of hand seals giving off a humph. Baka. Surin no Jutsu. Kakashi was immediately trapped in a sphere of water. You're annoying, Kakashi. I'm going to deal with the runts first. Kakashi looked at them in horror. Take Tazuna and run. Forget me. Naruto sighed. Do you still have so little faith in us, sensei? I told you to run. That's an order. No. Kakashi turned to Naruto, realizing he had taken his lesson to heart. Zabuza formed a Mizubunshin and had it walk toward the genin and Tazuna. The clone laughed. The three of you have Hitaiite on as if you think you're ninja. A ninja is someone who's gone through numerous life and death situations. In other words, you can call yourself a ninja when you appear in my bingo book. What would you know of life and death? Everyone turned to Sasuke and Naruto, who were shaking in barely suppressed rage. Sasuke looked up at Zabuza with pure hatred in his eyes. What would you know about what it's like to have your entire clan murdered by your 13-year-old brother, and then have to watch your relatives' deaths over and over for 72 hours with the Sharingan, huh? What the hell would you know what it's like to be beaten senseless as a 5-year-old child who couldn't protect himself from an entire village of ninja just for being who you are and then refused service at the hospital when someone brought you in out of pity, suffering from a coma and severe internal damage every time it was your birthday? You don't know jack shit about pain. Zabuza saw them quivering in pure rage. They obviously weren't lying. He smiled at them. So both of you have obviously seen pain that only the worst of us are subjected to. You may be able to call yourselves ninja. But what about the girl, With that, Zabuza charged at the girl, knocking her forehead protector off her head and sending her flying back. The Hitaiite spun through the air before landing on the ground. Zabuza stomped on it, grinding it further into the ground. She's obviously led a sheltered life, growing up with parents and friends. She has no right to call herself a ninja. Not until she does something like I had to pass the genin exams of the Hidden Mist. Naruto scowled. You mean where you were paired up upon entering the academy, and you had to study from the same book, eat from the same bowl and sleep in the same bed, and for the graduation exam, you were forced to fight each other to the death? Zabuza smiled behind his bandaged mouth. Exactly. Until she is forced to kill someone, she will never be able to understand what being a ninja means. Sakura shakily got up, trying to recover from the pain. Naruto turned to Sasuke. Want to try our luck? Sasuke smirked, and they both charged at the clone with abnormal speed for genins. The clone managed to fight them off. Naruto smiled. Sasuke, time for Plan B. Want to try that new combo we've been working on? Sasuke nodded. Let's go. Naruto formed a mass of Kagebunshins and dog-piled the Zabuza clone. However, they were thrown off and destroyed, which was exactly what Naruto wanted. One of Naruto's clones covered the real Naruto as he hinged into a Fuma Shuriken, which the clone caught in his bag. Pretending to open his bag and look for something, the Naruto clone chucked the folded pair of Fuma Shurikens to Sasuke, who caught them. Once he'd opened them, he jumped into the air and threw them at the Zabuza clone, only they missed him and continued on towards the real Zabuza. Oh? Going for me this time? A petty attack like that won't work. Zabuza caught the shuriken only to see a second one hiding in its shadow. Nor will that. The Fuma Shuriken continued past Zabuza, although Naruto and Sasuke smiled and spoke just loud enough to be heard by Tazuna and Sakura. Fuma Shuriken Henge Combo, success. Just then, the still airborne Fuma Shuriken was surrounded by a cloud of smoke revealing the real Naruto, who threw a kunai at the real Zabuza's head. Zabuza had two options. Cop the kunai full in the face or move out of the way and cancel the prison. Choosing the latter, he pulled his hand out and almost dodged the kunai whizzing past his head, making a small gash just beneath his eye. Zabuza started spinning the first Fuma Shuriken, preparing to decapitate the kid as he fell helplessly towards the water. However, just as he was about to release it, Kakashi blocked the Fuma Shuriken with the metal plates on the back of his gloves. Naruto fell into the water and broke the surface, smiling his foxy grin. Sasuke smiled. When you got caught in that prison, we didn't have a choice of wanting to run or not. If we had, Zabuza would have killed you and then picked us off at will. You're the crux of this team at the moment. Both Naruto and I thought through several different ways of freeing you, and we both realized that our combo we made just before we left for this mission was our best chance. The mass of Kage Bunshins was nothing more than a necessary diversion needed to hide the true combo, which consisted of two Fuma Shurikens. We knew you'd catch one and there was a big chance that you'd let the other one go past since both your hands were occupied, so the second one was Naruto in a henge, who exploited that weakness. Kakashi smiled at them. Good job. I'm proud of you. I wouldn't have expected any less from a former prankster and a shuriken specialist. You've both grown exponentially. Kakashi and Zabuza sprang back and started forming seals. The long seal chain ended in Tori as they both announced the jutsu. Suetun, Suryuden no Jutsu. A pair of dragons made entirely out of water rose out of the water and twisted around each other in a double helix shape, before lunging at one another. They clashed several more times before the jutsu was released, causing a shower to fall over the area. Kakashi and Zabuza sprang forward and locked blades, Zabuza with his sword and Kakashi with a kunai. They sprung back from the deadlock and stared at each other before running in half a circle. When Zabuza stopped, so did Kakashi. Zabuza prepared to do the ninpu, Kirigakyu no Jutsu again, and found that Kakashi was again mirroring his movements perfectly. Zabuza lowered his raised arm 3/4 of the way, mirrored by Kakashi, and began thinking. This guy, my movement is being perfectly. Kakashi finished his thought out loud for him. Predicted by him. Nani? He read what I was going to say in my mind? Zabuza formed a Tori seal, which Kakashi mirrored. Damn it, this guy has such unpleasant eyes, right? Zabuza formed a Tora seal and laughed. What you're doing is copying, nothing original. They both said the next sentence in unison. You can't beat me, you monkey. Zabuza's bloodshot eyes widened and he began forming hand seals. I'll make sure you can never open that copycat mouth of yours again. Just as Zabuza got to the last few seal, he noticed a shadow behind Kakashi. That's me? Is it Genjutsu? This gave Kakashi the break he needed to finish the last 3 hand seals and perform the jutsu. Suetun, Daibakufu no Jutsu. Zabuza was scared out of his mind. And Nani? This can't be. The water that had been collecting itself into a ring around Kakashi shot forward in a torrent of water and blew Zabuza away into the current, leaving him to scream all the way. Eventually, the torrents subsided, leaving Zabuza pinned against a tree. 4 kunais flew at him and embedded themselves into him, one in each limb. Zabuza looked up into the tree to see Kakashi staring at him. This is the end. Why can you see the future? Yeah. Your future is death. As Kakashi had predicted, 2 Saban needles flew out of the scrub and punctured Zabuza in the neck. Zabuza dropped to the ground, lifeless. By this time, the others had arrived. Kakashi went to the body of Zabuza and felt for a pulse. When he confirmed there was none, he looked at the masked boy. It was true. He did die. Thank you, I'd been hunting Zabuza for months. The boy with the ANBU mask walked up to the body and began picking it up, however Naruto stopped him. You're a hunter Nin, right? The boy stopped and looked at him. That is correct. Why do you ask? If you're a hunter Nin, then do your job properly. A hunter Nin is required to destroy the body of the target exactly where the body falls in battle. Put him down and destroy him. All you need is his head for proof, not the entire body. The hunter Nin tensed before he lopped Zabuza's shoulder over him and body flickered away before anyone had a chance to stop him. Naruto cursed loudly. Damn it! I knew something was up with that guy. At that moment, Kakashi collapsed, making everyone run over to him. Naruto checked him and found he was surviving on practically no chakra. He's suffering chakra exhaustion. We need to get him to a place to rest soon or he could die. They nodded and turned to Tazuna. My village isn't far from here. If you can carry him, I'll lead the way. They nodded. Sasuke and Naruto supported one shoulder each and helped carry him while Sakura covered Tazuna. Next morning, at Tazuna's house, Kakashi awoke to the sound of seagulls crying, sunlight streaming in his window, and the smell of salt thick in the air. He moved his head to the side slowly and saw Naruto looking over a book with Sasuke and Sakura. Naruto turned his head to Kakashi. Morning, Kakashi-sensei. When Naruto said that, they heard footsteps approach the door. When they reached the door, it slid open to reveal a woman with long black hair and a pink jumper with red highlights. She smiled. I'm glad to see you're awake, Kakashi-san. How are you feeling? Kakashi groaned. I used my Sharingan far too much yesterday. I'll take a while to recover. Sasuke nodded. Due to the level of chakra exhaustion he's suffering from, I'd say about a week. Kakashi nodded. So, what are you three studying? Sakura looked at him with a look of concern in her eyes. We were studying the weapon that boy used and its uses. Apparently, it's a type of needle that is used for acupuncture healing, but it can be used to kill if you have perfect accuracy and a complete understanding of the human anatomy. Also, it seems that people who have that level of knowledge and skill can just as easily put someone in a near-death state. Kakashi-sensei. Zabuza is still alive. Tazuna gasped at this, but Kakashi nodded. I'm amazed you three were able to come to that conclusion, however, it is correct. Zabuza is still alive. Luckily for us, putting someone in a near-death state no matter how efficient they are will still cause a massive amount of strain on the target's body. Zabuza won't be able to use his body for about a week either. Kakashi smiled at them. Not only have you three grown in skill, but also in knowledge. I'm proud of you. Naruto smiled. Seems things are starting to get interesting. No, they're not. They turned to see a small boy in a green one-piece that stopped just above the knees. Beneath that was a beige shirt. He was also wearing a broad-brimmed hat with 2 navy blue stripes. Naruto looked at him. Who are you? Tazuna bent down and put his hand on the boy's head. This is my grandson, Inari. Inari looked at them in contempt. Why did you hire them? They're just going to die. Naruto laughed. If you think I'm going to die to these chumps, you have another thing coming. Sasuke smirked. Naruto's right. None of us will die. We all have goals in life that we swore to complete, and we can't die until they are complete. We've been through a hell of a lot. A stupid jounin is nothing. You guys think too much of yourselves. Anyone who goes against Gato will die. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Let me tell you something. Every single person who has underestimated us, no matter what rank they were, have either died or been completely humiliated. Genin, Chunin, Jounin, and Bu, they're all the same. Those who underestimate us will pay. Sasuke nodded in agreement, however, Inari smirked. You have no idea what you're up against. Just go home. With that, Inari turned around and left the room. Naruto raised an eyebrow. He's got something big shoved up his. Sakura clamped a hand over Naruto's mouth when she saw Tsunami and Tazuna's reactions. Tazuna sighed. I have to apologize for my grandson's behavior. Ever since he lost his dad, he's been like that. Naruto shook his head in disbelief. Kakashi decided to lighten the mood. Well, I think you three need to do some training to help you in the upcoming fight. Naruto looked down at Kakashi. What practical training can you show us in your state? Kakashi smiled and pulled a pair of crutches that had been laid beside his bed to him, as he slowly got up. I'll show you. They followed Kakashi out into the woods until he faced 3 trees. Kakashi turned to face them. Right. You three are going to climb trees. Sakura looked at Kakashi in doubt, but Naruto and Sasuke knew where this was going. Without your hands? Sakura's eyes widened in disbelief. Naruto turned to Kakashi. Nut Kakashi's Nisei. Sasuke and I can already do this. We learned it about a week before we came here. We're trying to do the water walking exercise now. Kakashi nodded. Then show me. Naruto and Sasuke walked up to the trees and concentrated their chakra before placing a foot on the tree and walking up. They both decided to hang upside down on a branch for effect. Sakura was boggling at them as if they'd grown an extra head. Kakashi, on the other hand, smiled. Okay, you two. After I explain this to Sakura, I'll help you with the water walking exercise. They nodded and dropped to the ground, doing a neat backflip and landing gracefully on the soft capped head of leaves. Kakashi turned to Sakura and explained the theory behind the exercise. The hell, I'm going to type it out here. Sakura steeled herself and ran at the tree, and to everyone's surprise, got up first go. However, upon reconsidering Sakura's abilities, which centered around perfect chakra control, it really was no surprise. Kakashi led them to a nearby lake and began teaching them the theory behind the water walking exercise. By the end of the day, they had all managed to be able to at least walk across the lake at brisk pace. Kakashi decided to call it a day and they returned to Tazuna's house for dinner. Next morning, on the bridge, Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura were patrolling the bridge for any signs of enemies. At about midday, Tazuna called everyone to the middle of the bridge for a break. They talked with each other while eating. Eventually, one person stood up. He looked at Tazuna. Tazuna-san, I can't keep working. Jichi? Why? Tazuna, I've known you for a long time, but if I keep building this bridge, Gato will come after me, too. Everything will lose meaning if you die. Why don't we stop building this bridge? Everyone began muttering before Tazuna turned away. We can't do that, Jichi. This is our bridge. All our hopes rest on this bridge. Distribution and transportation to this poor country, which has few resources, will increase. But we'll die if we continue. No, you won't. Not with us here. They turned to see the three ninja looking at them. To you, we may just be a bunch of kids you hired to help, but to us, a mission is a mission, and we complete each and every mission with our full efforts. None of you will die while we're around. They nodded before they turned back to Tazuna, who sighed, taking off his hard hat. Guys, take an extended lunch break. Don't push yourselves too hard. The day wore on as Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura kept their patrol of the bridge up. At night, they studied scrolls they had brought with them. This routine kept going for a week until the evening before Zabuza and Kakashi were supposed to make a full recovery. They were enjoying their dinner, wondering why Naruto and Sasuke were out training for so long when the door opened and they came limping in, supporting one another. They smiled at the group. Sorry we're late. We were inventing a new combo. Kakashi smiled. No problem. Take a seat and eat up. Tazuna sighed. I've been meaning to ask you a question for a while now. Why did you keep going with this mission when you worked out I lied about the difficulty of the mission? Kakashi folded his hands in front of him. Not doing the right thing when you know it is the coward's way. There are no weak soldiers under a valiant commander. Naruto smiled. Those are the teachings of our previous Hokage, the Yondaime. Inari started crying, causing everyone to stare at him. He stood up and slammed his fists on the table. Why are you trying so hard that you end up like that? You can't beat Gato's men even if you train. No matter how hard you try with those good-looking words, you can't beat him. Sasuke and Naruto stood, towering over the boy. Say that again, you spoiled brat. I dare you. Everyone turned to them. Naruto growled out. What the hell would you know? You're spoiled. You lost your dad, so what? You still have some family members left. I would kill almost anyone I had to have a single family member. Do you want to know what we went through? Huh. Sasuke slammed his fist on the table, causing it to crack. Both of us have no family left. My entire clan was murdered by my 13-year-old brother who used a technique to force me to rewatch him killing the entire clan for 3 days straight. Naruto here never had a family. His mother died giving birth to him, and his father died fighting a goddamn demon to save a village who would kill him the first chance they got if it wasn't for our current Hokage threatening anyone who harms him with death. On top of that, the 9 most powerful people in the world are hunting him for sport, one of who is my brother. You don't understand what true pain means. So you can just keep crying like the drama queen you are. At this, Inari backed up and ran from the room, slamming the door behind him. Tsunami had no idea that these boys managed to put on such brave faces despite what they went through. She began to apologize to them, but Naruto held up a hand. Save it. I don't want pity or sympathy, either does Sasuke. With that, they left to go to their rooms for the night, leaving the others to think about what had happened. Next morning, Naruto and Sasuke woke to find a note that the others had gone to the bridge and to meet them there. Naruto jumped out of bed, which woke Sasuke. Sasuke looked at the note and quickly got changed. They both ran downstairs and waved goodbye to Tsunami. When they were flying through the trees, Naruto noticed slash marks on a group of trees. He motioned for Sasuke to follow him to the area, and when they got there, they saw a freshly killed boar with slash marks all over it. Naruto looked at Sasuke. Go on ahead. I'll catch up after I take care of them. Sasuke nodded and they split up. Sasuke heading for the bridge while Naruto headed back to the house. Naruto arrived back just in time to see Inari charging blindly at two Rouge ninjas. Just as they were about to unleash their sword attacks, Naruto used a Kawarimi to replace Inari with a log. Naruto laid Inari on the ground. Inari, although your attack would have gotten you killed, it gave me the cover I needed to save you. Watch how real ninjas fight. Inari nodded dumbly as the two ninjas charged at him. Naruto threw two shuriken at them which they deflected with minimum effort. Those sorts of attacks won't work against us, Gaki. Naruto smiled. Won't it? They turned around in time to see that the shurikens were actually clones of Naruto, who released the henge and gave them a roundhouse kick to the head, knocking them out. Once he tied them up, Naruto turned to Inari. Inari, I need you to do me a favor. Inari looked up at Naruto. Once you take your mom inside, get the villagers to come to the bridge with whatever weapons they can find. Gato and his men will die today. I'm counting on you. With that, Naruto waved and sped off to the bridge while Inari pulled Tsunami back inside and ran off to get the villagers. Back at the bridge, Kakashi was in a stalemate with Zabuza, while Sasuke was just beginning to experience Haku's Gekgenkai. At that point, Naruto threw a shuriken and scored a direct hit on Haku's mask. Naruto pressed his advantage and charged at Haku, stunning everyone. However, Haku was able to get back inside the mirror just in time. Naruto didn't expect this and plowed through the mirror, which promptly replaced itself. Naruto looked at Sasuke. Have you managed to work out how this thing works yet? Sasuke shook his head. Just as they got to their feet, Haku appeared in all of the mirrors, surprising Naruto. Soon after, they were peppered with a shower of saban needles, causing them to scream in agony. Kakashi looked in their direction when he heard the sound, causing Zabuza to laugh. No one has ever survived Haku's Gekgenkai. Those kids have had it. Kakashi looked at Zabuza square in the eye. No, they'll live. What makes you say that? Sasuke is one of the two last surviving members of Konoha's Uchiha clan, and Naruto is also the container for the Kyuubi no Kitsune. They will not lose. At the description of what Naruto was, Zabuza stared at Kakashi in disbelief. What did you say? You heard me, Zabuza. They won't lose. Zabuza was about to turn his back on Kakashi and deal with the punks, but Kakashi stopped him. You shouldn't turn your back on an opponent. Zabuza sighed. Let's continue then. Back in the room of ice mirrors, Naruto decided to try something. Sasuke, watch him closely. Sasuke nodded as Naruto formed the hand seal for Kage-Bunshin, creating a clone for each mirror. Sasuke stared at the clones, trying to see how he attacked. The clones were defeated before one of them could reach a mirror, and the real Naruto fell back to the ground, coming to a stop beside Sasuke. Naruto looked up at him questioningly, to which Sasuke shook his head. Naruto stood up. Again, Naruto formed the seal and sent the clones at the mirrors. Sasuke concentrated on a blob of water that was floating in midair, and saw that it was disrupted by something twice. Naruto crashed back to the floor, and looked at Sasuke. Sasuke didn't make any movements this time, which Naruto had by now understood as an I'm not sure. Again, Naruto sent another wave of clones, however, this time, Sasuke kicked water into the air, and watched the water intently. He saw the water being parted and moved as if something was flying through the water. Once Naruto landed, he saw a slight nod, which wasn't a full yes I saw him, but more of I definitely saw something. Naruto formed another wave and sent them, while Sasuke formed his own technique. The clones were easily dispatched while Sasuke used his Keton Jutsu on a seemingly empty space. Once Naruto fell back to the ground, he stared at Sasuke. Sasuke pointed to a mirror, and Naruto saw that the boy's pants had been singed. They tried several times to get out, however, each time they failed. Finally, Naruto pumped chakra into his feet to increase his speed, but he was peppered with a bunch of saban needles, causing him to fall to the floor. Sasuke went to kneel beside Naruto. Naruto, are you okay? Can you stand? Naruto tried to get up, but fainted before he could even get onto his hands and knees. Sasuke looked around. Sasuke stood up, and Haku appeared in the mirror in front of him, pulling his hand back in preparation to throw the needles. Sasuke, however, picked up one of the many on the floor and parried the attacks before slumping back to his knees. Sasuke looked at Naruto. Naruto, you have to get up. He'll kill us. Naruto slowly started getting up. Haku launched another round of needles from all mirrors. However, Sasuke not only covered from himself, but for Naruto as well. However, Naruto fainted from exhaustion and blood loss. Haku launched around at Naruto's prone body, but Sasuke bent down, picked him up and powered his jump with chakra, missing a rain of needles by seconds. Haku stared at Sasuke, or more directly, his eyes. The irises were blood red. In his left eye he had one mark, while his right eye had two. Haku decided to end this, and so launched an attack at Naruto's body. Sasuke, however, took the attack for Naruto before throwing Haku out of the way. Naruto opened his eyes to see Sasuke standing in front of him, barely clinging to life. Naruto stared at Sasuke in horror. Sasuke, why? Neither of us can afford to die, we still both need to kill them. I could have survived that, why? Sasuke's lips formed the ghost of a smile. I didn't want to see my adopted brother die. Naruto looked up at Sasuke in both admiration and horror. You think I'm a brother? Sasuke nodded as he reviewed all of his memories of Naruto before falling backwards into Naruto's arms. Sasuke looked at Naruto. I'm sorry, Otuto, you'll have to kill them for me. Naruto hugged Sasuke. Don't say that. Neither of us are going to die yet. Sasuke, I can't go on without you. I have nothing left, except you. Please don't die. Sasuke tried to put a hand on Naruto's face, but didn't make it. Naruto, don't die until you kill them. If you don't, no one can. With that, Sasuke gave up his struggle for life. Naruto stared in disbelief at his friend and adoptive brother. He couldn't die. It was physically impossible. He hugged Sasuke to him and started weeping before letting out a howl of pure anguish. Haku merged back into the mirror. Is this the first time you've seen a friend die? He was a ninja worthy of respect. How could you? I have nothing left. He was my last friend, my only friend, you bastard. With that, Naruto decided it was time. QB? Sure thing, Kit. Steam started to surround Naruto, which caught Haku's attention. The steam surrounding Naruto suddenly exploded into a wave of blood-red chakra. Naruto let QB take control of him. Naruto's body started to undergo a transformation. Naruto's nails grew into claws, his hair became unruly, his whisker marks turned into 3 dark slashes, and his EUs were blood red instead of the normal cerulean blue. The wounds on Naruto's body started regenerating, and the needles ejected themselves from his body. Naruto looked up at Haku with bloodlust radiating off him. Everyone on the bridge felt the chakra and felt as it blasted the area around them. They heard what they assumed was Naruto's voice, however, it was very different from the normal Naruto. You bastard! I'm gonna kill you! The chakra gained more force as Naruto charged at Haku, deflecting the needles with a wall of chakra. Haku tried in vain to attack Naruto a few more times before Naruto caught his wrist, snapping the bones. Haku tried to hold back the force of pure evil emanating from the boy, but failed miserably. Naruto pulled his other fist back and charged chakra into it before slamming it into Haku's face, sending the boy didn't stop as the remaining ice mirrors shattered. He charged at Haku and proceeded to rip his body apart. Remember, Naruto hadn't seen Haku's face in my FIC, so he had no idea who it was. Naruto turned round and stared directly at Zabuza. You're next, shithead. Before Kakashi could stop Naruto, Naruto charged at Zabuza, who was being held down by Kakashi's ninja dogs. Naruto charged chakra into his fist and slammed it through Zabuza's chest. Sakura stared in horror at Naruto. This wasn't the Naruto she knew. Naruto turned back to the end of the bridge and saw Gato and his mien there, watching. Fresh meat. Naruto charged at the people, slicing a path through them to get to Gato at the back. Naruto smiled sadistically at him. Die, scumbag. Naruto grabbed Gato's neck and crushed both his windpipe and spine, causing him to slump to the floor, already dead. Naruto turned to the mercenaries. I haven't had a good feed in 12 years. This will be a nice appetizer. The men started backing up, but QB-controlled Naruto didn't give them the chance. He started ripping into them, pulling arms and legs off, putting his hand through their chests, and used other sadistic methods to kill them. By now, Sakura, Kakashi and Tazuna were mortified at what Naruto was doing. Naruto finished killing the last one and slowly regained control of his body. He slumped to his hands and knees as he saw what he had just done. He threw up and began convulsing badly, causing Kakashi to run over to him. Kakashi saw that Naruto was suffering from severe psychological trauma, which really wasn't surprising. Kakashi gathered Naruto up and ran back to Sakura. Sakura! Get Sasuke! We're going to the hospital. Kakashi and Sakura ran past the amassing group of villagers who had arrived with weapons like Naruto had asked for, and were shocked to see a blood-soaked Naruto convulsing violently in Kakashi's arms, while Sakura was carrying Sasuke close behind him. They understood when they saw the state the bridge was in and looked in absolute horror at the scene of carnage that was worse than any nightmares they had had before. Tazuna dispersed them, and went to check on the Konoha ninjas. Next morning. Apparently, Sasuke had only been in a near-death state. As soon as he was able to, he rushed to see Naruto, who was sweating profusely and shivering, moaning incoherent words. Sasuke looked to Kakashi for an explanation. Sasuke, when Naruto saw you die, he went berserk. He killed Haku, then Zabuza, and then killed over 200 thugs as well as Gato in under 2 minutes. When he came back to his senses, he saw what he had done, and has been like this ever since. Sasuke looked at Kakashi in shock. He turned to Naruto, who was still convulsing. Sasuke laid a hand on Naruto's, which instantly seemed to have an effect. Although Naruto didn't stop convulsing completely, the spasms died down considerably. Kakashi noticed this, and decided that it would be best to head back to Konoha, as the medical adequacy of this hospital was nowhere near up to scratch. Sasuke, I need you to carry Naruto back the way. I'm sorry if it's a burden, but... Sasuke shook his head. It's fine, I understand. I hate to see Naruto like this. Sasuke lifted Naruto off the bed, and walked out of the room to see that Sakura was waiting for them. Kakashi nodded to her, and they walked out of the Waves Hospital. Once they had collected the payment, they left for Konoha. 2 weeks later. Once Team 7 got back from the Wave, Naruto had been taken directly to the hospital for a week of intensive psychological treatment. Naruto's condition had slowly improved, and about the end of the week, Naruto woke up for the first time. The hospital staff didn't want him in there any longer than absolutely necessary, so they falsified Naruto's files and discharged him several hours after he woke up. After Naruto woke up, he was requested to immediately come to the Hokage's office. Once there, the Hokage told Naruto that he would not be allowed to leave the village for several weeks until they confirmed his mental stability. Naruto was left to attend regular team training, so he walked with Sasuke to the training area. To their surprise, Kakashi was there waiting for them. He smiled at them, in particular, Naruto. How are you feeling, Naruto? Naruto's face was blank when he answered. Okay, I guess. Kakashi nodded, pulling out 3 slips of paper and handing it to them. Naruto looked at it. Chunin exam? Kakashi nodded. I think all 3 of you are ready for it. Remember, take care of yourselves. As a final note, entry is voluntary. If you want to enter, sign it and turn up to room 301 tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Catch you round. With that, Kakashi poofed out of existence, leaving Team 7 to sort out what to do. 6:30 a.m. next morning. Team 7 met up outside the academy and walked in. They pushed through a throng of other Chunin hopefuls to the front and stared at the spectacle. Sasuke smirked. What kind of corny genjutsu is this? This is floor 2. Move. The 2 people guarding room 301 smiled. Seems one team is up to scratch. Yup, this is a genjutsu. The sign above the door swirled to reveal it was indeed 201. Sasuke gave his usual confident smirk. Naruto, Sakura. You both noticed it too, right? They both nodded. One of the Chunins guarding the door smiled. Then let's see if you notice this. The Chunin and Sasuke went to kick, however, Naruto charged in and grabbed the Chunin, hurling him against the wall with a look of pure rage on his face. Try that again, team, and I'll kill you. Everyone backed off as Team 7 walked past, up the next set of stairs to the 3rd floor. When they were there, they heard a shout from behind them. You with the blonde hair. Wait. Naruto stopped and saw a green spandex-wearing boy with a bowl cut and super eyebrows. The boy flipped over the railing and landed on the floor with them. I am Rock Lee. I would like to know who you are. Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto. Lee smiled. Would you like to fight? Naruto stopped breathing. He turned around and continued walking. Lee had no clue what was going on. Are you running? Naruto stopped. If you value your life, then leave. If we fight, I may be unable to control myself. If that happens, I can guarantee your death. Sasuke nodded. I'd take his advice. I've seen what he can do. He's out of your league. Lee left to go back to his teammates while Team 7 walked up to the door to see Kakashi standing there. He smiled at them in that infuriatingly laid-back fashion. Good to see you're all here. Since all three of you turned up, I can let you in. Sakura raised an eyebrow. What do you mean, Kakashi-sensei? If one of you had not come, I would have had to turn the other two away, as this can only be taken in 3-man cells. Since all three of you are here, you can go. I wish you luck. With that, they passed Kakashi and pushed open the door. What they saw they didn't expect. Over 100 people staring at them. As they walked in the door, they heard a squeal as a shock of platinum blonde hair and purple clothing attached itself to Sasuke. Sasuke immediately growled. Get off me. Ino got off Sasuke as she saw the look on his face. She could tell he really didn't want to be bothered right now. The rest of Ino's team made their way over. They nodded at each other. However, the resident loud mouth of their year decided yelling would be a good idea. Yahoo found you! Kiba and his teammates Shino and Hinata stood behind him. Hinata was concerned at the look on her crush's face. And Naruto-kun? Are you alright? Naruto nodded his head slowly. At that point, a silver-haired bespectacled man came over. He had a Konoha symbol on his forehead. You guys should probably be aware of your surroundings. Take a look around you. They did so, seeing that people were glaring at them with hatred. They turned back to Kabuto. Maybe I should give my cute underclassmen some information then. Kabuto reached back into his bag and pulled out a stack of orange cards. He put the top one on the ground and began spinning it with his finger. He released a bit of chakra and the blank card let off a small amount of smoke to reveal a 3-dimensional world map and bar graph. Kabuto looked up at them. Each country has sent participants to the exams this year. This gives a breakdown of how many from each country are attending. The newest village is the village of Oto. They only have 3 entrants and they're a small village, so I don't have much information on them. At this point, Kabuto became aware of 3 people rushing out of the crowd to attack him. One of them threw 2 kunais at him, while another appeared right in front of him and struck at his face, however he missed. Kabuto smiled. You seem to have missed. The bandaged guy smiled. Really? At that point, Kabuto's glasses cracked and he coughed up blood. Naruto's mind was still fresh with the scene of carnage back at the wave, and he began quivering. Kinda like Tsunade when she first appears. Sasuke turned to Naruto and pulled out a jar that the medical staff had given him in case Naruto relapsed again. The sound Nins laughed. He suffers that much from seeing a bit of blood? What a weakling. Sasuke glared at him. I'm sure you've heard the rumors of the massacre at the wave 2 weeks ago. They nodded. Naruto was there to witness it firsthand. Trust me, the rumors don't do the massacre justice. The sound Nin with the head guard looked at Naruto. So, you survived that, eh? You're lucky. Sasuke shook his head. Would you consider him lucky if he was the one who? Naruto cut him off. Sasuke don't? Sasuke nodded and shut up. He decided to pop the top of the jar off and pulled one of the dark brown pellets out. Naruto, please eat this. It should lessen the backlash. Naruto ate it before finally calming himself after 20 or so seconds, slowly stopping his shivering. At that point, there was an explosion of smoke in the front of the room. Everyone turned to see the smoke clear, revealing a man in a black trench coat with a line of men and women in gray jumpsuits. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm the Chunin exam's first examiner, Marino Ibiki. Ibiki leveled his finger at the tree from Oto. You 3 from the hidden village of Oto. Don't think you can do anything you want before the exam. Do you want us to fail you already? The bandaged one turned to Ibiki. My apologies. I was excited since this was my first exam. Ibiki smirked as he surveyed the genin in the room. This is a good chance to say this: you are not allowed to fight anyone without the permission of the examiners. If permission is given, depending on the situation, you may or may not be allowed to kill your opponent. Pigs who go against me will be failed immediately. Understood? The genins didn't say a word, which Ibiki took as a yes. Ibiki smiled coldly at them. We will now begin the first test of the Chunin exam. Turn in your applications and take one of these number tags. Sit where the number tells you. Then we will pass out papers for the written exam. The Chunin next to Ibiki put a stack of papers on the desk and started putting them face down. Once everyone had taken their place, Ibiki tapped the chalk on the board. This exam has several important rules. Listen up, because I'm only saying these once and I will not accept questions. First rule: You are all given 10 points at the start. Unlike regular tests, this test is a subtraction test. For each question you do not answer or answer incorrectly, you lose 1 point. Each question is worth 1 point and there are 10 questions. If you answer 3 incorrectly, you lose 3 points, leaving you with 7. Rule 2. The pass-fail decision is determined by your team's total points. Sakura slammed her head on the desk and began protesting. Shut up. I said to not interfere. There is a reason for this, so shut up and listen. Now that you know about that rule, let's move on to the next one. If one of the examiners catches you doing any sort of suspicious activities like cheating, they will mark you down by 2 points. In other words, there will be those who are forced to leave this place before their tests are graded. Those who try to cheat without thinking carefully will only hurt themselves. One of the Chunin lowered his head to hide his sneer. We'll check you at any time. You are all trying to become Chunin. If you are a ninja, act like a first-rate one. Finally, if anyone in a team gets 0, they and their teammates will be failed immediately. People began muttering amongst themselves, but Ibiki quietened them. The last question will be given 45 minutes after the exam begins. You have 1 hour for this exam. Begin. Not a single student failed to comply. Naruto looked at the paper in amusement. I can't answer a single damn one of these questions. These aren't even Chunin-level questions. Kyubi? Any ideas? Naruto had only just recently started talking to Kyubi again after he apologized for his behavior in the wave. Somehow, letting Kyubi control Naruto had opened a telepathic link of sorts that let them communicate without entering the subconscious mind. I may not understand the questions themselves, but I understand the idea the questions are trying to get across. Tap the signal for Sasuke to copy you. Naruto tapped his pencil on the table 7 times, indicating Sasuke to use his Sharingan on Naruto. Sasuke immediately activated his Sharingan and copied Naruto's movements, which stopped at odd intervals before resuming. Sakura was fine answering the questions by herself, and they all finished at about the same time. Once they had finished, Naruto tapped the pencil on the table 3 times, indicating to watch each other's backs for cheating attempts. Naruto was the first one to notice one directed at Sakura from Ino, who had obviously been waiting for Sakura to finish. Naruto tapped once, indicating Sakura was under attack, so to speak. Sakura accidentally dropped her pencil on the floor, leaning down just as Ino's projected mind would have struck her body. Since Sakura wasn't there, Ino's mind passed her seat and shot out the window, not to return for several minutes. Sakura picked up her pencil and tapped once to indicate she was okay. There was only a minute left until the final question was given. When that minute was up, Ibiki addressed them. I will now give the 10th problem. Oh, but before that, there's one thing I must say: there will be a special rule for this last question. Just then, the door opened and Kankuro came back in. You're just in time. I trust your playing with dolls was beneficial? Kankuro said nothing as he walked past his blonde-haired teammate, expertly dropping a rolled-up piece of paper onto her desk before he took his seat. I will now explain. This is a hopless rule. The first part of that rule is whether you want to take the question or not. Temari called out to Ibiki. Choose not to take it? What if we decline? Then I will reduce you and your team's points to 0, failing you immediately. This caused a stir in the genin, which Ibiki promptly put a stop to. If you don't shut up, I'll fail you all right here and now. That was the first part of the rule. The second part is, if you decide to take it and answer it incorrectly, you will be refused entry to all future Chunin exams. Kiba pointed a finger at Ibiki. What kind of a stupid rule is that? There are those here who've failed before. Ibiki laughed coldly. Unfortunately for you, this is my first time as an examiner. The other times, the rules were different. However, while you're in my exam, you will submit to my rules or get out. Those who are not confident in themselves, I have been kind enough to give the option of leaving with minimal consequences, and take the exam next year or the year after that. Ibiki let this sink in, before continuing. Let's begin. Those who do not feel confident, raise your hand. After we have confirmed your numbers, you will be required to leave. After about a minute, someone finally cracked and raised their hand. It was the guy right next to Naruto. I won't take it. I quit. Number 50, fail. Number 130 and 111 fail along with him. This set off a chain reaction, with over a quarter of the remaining people's hands being raised. After a while, people stopped raising their hands. Ibiki looked over the rest. The rest of them either showed no emotions on their face, or they showed pure confidence. Ibiki realized this wasn't going to get any further, and so smiled at them. Well, then the rest of you pass. People had no idea how to respond. Naturally, Sakura was the first to respond. Wait. What's the meaning of this? What happened to the 10th question? Ibiki laughed lightheartedly. There was no such thing to begin with. However, if you really want to believe there was a 10th question, I guess you could call the take or not take decision the 10th question. Temari was next to question. Then the first 9 questions were useless. Ibiki smiled. Were they? No, they served their purpose. The first 9 questions tested your information gathering skills. First, this test's purpose lies in the first rule. Your pass-fail decision OS based on your 3-person teams. By giving you that idea, we were placing a huge load of pressure onto each of you to not let your teams down. As the majority of you noticed almost straight away, these are not Genin-level questions, and some of them are not even Chunin-level questions. So the majority of people must have come to the conclusion that you had to cheat to get the answers. Naruto sighed and thought. I wonder if consulting a 4,000-year-old demon is considered cheating. Therefore, this test was made with the idea in mind that each and every one of you were going to cheat. So we snuck 2 Chunins in who knew the answers to be the target of cheating. Naturally, those who cheated poorly were failed. At this point, Ibiki began undoing his hatayate which covered the top of his head. Naruto knew what was coming and looked away, stopping himself from relapsing. Everyone else looked at Ibiki in horror. Ibiki continued his explanation. Why? Information can have a greater value than life sometimes, and in missions and battlefields, information is contested for with people's lives. The information that an enemy gets after being noticed by a third person will not entirely be accurate. Remember this. Getting incorrect information can cause great damage to your teammates and your village. So we all made you gather information in the form of cheating. We kicked out those that were lacking in that field. That's what the first 9 questions were about. Temari apparently still wasn't satisfied. Then what about the last question? The 10th question is the main part of this test. Let me explain. The 10th question was a take or not take choice. Needless to say, it was a painful 2-choice problem. Those who did not take it failed the entire exam along with their team. If you did take it and got it wrong, you had your right to take the Chunin exam permanently revoked. It was a very insincere problem. Let me put this problem into a real-life situation. Let's assume that you have become Chunin. Your mission is to capture a secret document. The number of enemy ninja, their abilities and armaments are unknown, as well as the fact that the enemy ninja may have set traps for you. Now, will you accept this mission or not? Just because your life and the lives of your teammates are on the line, are you able to avoid dangerous missions? The answer is no. There are missions that will carry heavy risks that you will be unable to avoid. The ability to show your courage to your teammates when needed, and the ability to get through a bad situation. That is what we look for in a Chunin, a squad leader. Those who cannot bet their lives in a critical situation, those who give up when given the chance because there is a next year, and let their minds sway over an uncertain future, do not deserve the right to wear a Chunin jacket. That is what I believe. I am saying that those of you here who have chosen to take it have given the correct answer to the difficult 10th question. You will be able to deal with the difficulties a Chunin must face. You have broken through the entrance. Congratulations on passing the first test. I wish you all luck. At that point, a giant black ball smashed through the window, before unfurling itself, with 2 kunai driving into the roof to reveal. Everyone. There's no time to be happy. I am the second examiner, Mitarashi Enko. Everyone looked at her as if she were an alien. Behind her, the black piece of cloth read the second examiner, Mitarashi Enko is here. Enko wore a very short brown mini-skirt with fishnet leggings that went halfway down her thighs. She wore a beige trek coat and a fishnet shirt underneath that left practically nothing to the imaginaton. She wore metal greaves and black sandals. She had purple hair that was pulled back into a very Shikamura-like pin-apple hairstyle. Let's go to the next exam. Follow me. Ibiki came out from behind the piece of cloth. Grasp the atmosphere before you barge in here. Enko looked over the remaining genin. 78 genin? The first test was too soft this year, Ibiki. Ibiki shook his head. No, they're all exceptional genin. This year's crop is something far out of the ordinary. Enko looked at them with a sadistic smile on her face. It doesn't matter. By the time I'm through with them, less than half will remain. We will begin tomorrow. Ask your Jounin instructors about the rally point and time, as it won't be here. That is all. Dismissed. Next morning, at Training Area 44 aka Forest of Death. Everyone was standing out the front of the Forest of Death as Anko introduced it to them. This is Training Area 44, also known as the Forest of Death. Before we start, I need you to sign these forms. Naruto took one look at them and began shaking as he tried to fight off the feeling of bloodlust. Consent forms. People are going to die. Anko nodded and smiled. Scared? Sasuke's body flickered and slapped a hand over her mouth, whispering just loud enough for her to hear. If you value your life, don't taunt him now. He's not quivering from fear. He's trying to suppress the insatiable bloodlust from Aiki. With that, Sasuke's body flickered back beside Naruto, putting a hand on his shoulder, which calmed Naruto somewhat. Anko knew exactly what Sasuke had been talking about and decided it would be a good idea to leave Naruto alone right now. She turned back to the others. That's right, people will die. These forms mean you acknowledge you will die and that it is your own responsibility should it happen. I will now explain how the second test works. This test is a survival test. First, I'll explain the training area's geographical features. Anko pulled out a scroll and let it open, revealing a map of the training ground. Training Area 44 is a circular training ground that is surrounded by 44 locked gates. The vast majority of the area is forest. However, running through the middle of the area is a river, and in the dead center is a tower. The tower is located almost 10 kilometers from any gate. Within this confined space, you will have a no-holds-barred fight for these. Anko rolled the scroll back up and put it back in her trench coat, before pulling out a set of scrolls. There was a blue scroll labeled Earth, and a white scroll labeled Heaven. For every 3 consent forms handed in, you will receive 1 scroll. In other words, each team will get a single scroll. Which one you get will be decided at random. The aim of this test is to obtain a Heaven scroll and an Earth scroll and make it to the center tower with your teammates within the time limit, which is 120 hours, or 5 days. Chuji looked horrified. 5 days? What about food? Anko smiled. The forest is a treasure trove of nature. You just have to know where to look. Kabuto smiled as he pushed his glasses up the bridge of his nose. Also, there are man-eating beasts, poisonous plants and animals to deal with. Chuji slumped. You've got to be kidding me. Anko put the scrolls back where she got them from. People will be hurt during the fights for the scrolls, and those who cannot bear the program's strictness will emerge as well. Shikamaru held up a hand. Are we allowed to quit during the exam? Anko turned to Shikamaru. As a rule, you are not allowed to give up during the exam. You will spend the full 5 days in the forest. Anko looked around at the genin teams. While we're on the topic, I should tell you what can fail you in this exam. Anko held up her index finger in a bored fashion. First, if a team cannot bring both scrolls and all 3 teammates to the tower before the 5 days is up, you will fail. Anko unfurled another finger from her closed fist. Second, any team who loses a teammate or produces an unrecoverable teammate will also be failed. Just as a note, you are not allowed to open the scrolls until you reach the tower. Sakura looked interested and spoke her mind. What if we do? Anko smiled. That's a surprise for those of you who open it. If you become Chunin, you will be expected to handle top secret documents. It's to determine your reliability. That's it for the explanation. We will exchange the consent forms for a scroll at that booth over there. Anko pointed to a booth where 3 Chunin in gray outfits sat. After we have chosen your gate entrance, everyone will begin at the same time. Anko sighed. As a final piece of advice, don't die. They split off into their teams to sign their forms and finalize any plans they had. With Team 7, they were discussing how to identify themselves should they be separated and someone else tries to pose as them. Naruto already had a few ideas. I can release a small bit of it. There is not one other person in the world who can copy that. Sasuke nodded. I can activate my Sharingan and copy your movements. Only 2 other people can do that, and neither of them are here. They turned to Sakura, who was thinking. Naruto sighed. Just say something that only we would remember. Sakura looked up. Like what? Naruto thought for a second. Like the name of our combo we used Agonist Zabuza, or the name of Kakashi-sensei's ultimate taijutsu move. Sakura nodded. They signed their forms and stepped up to wait for their scrolls. The Chunins at the booth put a curtain across to stop others from seeing what each team gets and who has it. They called out. We will begin accepting the consent forms now. Team 7 were the first in. They were given the Heaven Scroll and assigned to Gate 12. Once they were there, they waited until the Chunin assigned to their gate opened it and checked his watch. He threw the gates open and Team 7 charged into the forest, which gladly swallowed them up. About half an hour later, they were sitting in a clearing, eating a few of the rations they had brought with them. Naruto jumped out of the way as a piece of bark flew right past where his head was less than a second ago. Naruto motioned to Sasuke and Sakura to get behind the tree. They didn't do it a second too soon either, as a giant gust of wind ripped past them, and would have blown them into the forest. The strange team from the grass stood at the end of the little alleyway formed by the trees. The lead one spoke. You two go have fun somewhere else. I'll sort this out. Team 7 came out of the bushes to see a very feminine-looking man in a sacket. He looked at them in interest. You have great detection skills. You never let your guard down. Seems I can have more fun than expected. The man used his very snake-like tongue to lick his lips. He pulled his scroll of earth out from his pack. You want our scroll of earth, right? Since you three have the scroll of heaven. The grass Nin pulled the scroll up to his mouth and wrapped his tongue around it, before swallowing it whole. Team 7 stared at the man in disbelief. Now let's begin the fight for our scrolls by putting our lives on the line. The grass Nin pulled his lower eyelid down. Kyubi knew exactly what was going to happen. Kit! Shut your eyes now! Naruto shut his eyes just as the grass Nin unleashed his technique. Naruto felt Sasuke and Sakura fall to the ground and he opened his eyes. That wasn't a normal Kanashibari no Jutsu. Normally, only a few Tokubetsu Jounin and Anbu can perform that technique, and only then give off an intent to kill. You're not a genin. In fact, due to the effects of it on Sasuke and Sakura, it seems you actually imprinted them with an image of their own death. I'd be willing to say you're one of the former Sannin, Orochimaru. The grass Nin looked at Naruto. You are correct, Naruto-kun. I am indeed Orochimaru. Naruto began trembling. He knew he'd have to face Orochimaru eventually, but he never in his wildest dream expected to face him so soon. At Naruto's current level, Orochimaru could kill him without breaking a sweat. I can't die not yet. Orochimaru threw 3 kunais at them. Naruto and Sasuke tried desperately to break out of the body freeze to escape. Eventually, Sasuke and Naruto managed to pull out a kunai and stab themselves to make their mind focus on the physical pain, which let them gather Sakura and flee just before the kunai would have hit them in the center of the forehead. Orochimaru smiled. I see. Sasuke and Naruto leaned up against the tree while Sakura looked at them, still recovering from the last traces of the Kanashibari no Jutsu wore off. Sakura gasped when they both simultaneously yanked the kunais out of their legs. Naruto motioned Sasuke to look one way while Naruto looked the other. Sakura could tell by the utter seriousness on their faces that this man was not a genin with a few unusual jutsus. This man could end their life at his leisure. Back with Orochimaru, he was analyzing what exactly they had done. How surprising. They got rid of the fear with pain. They are by no means normal prey. With that, Orochimaru went off after them. Sakura was trying to ask if her teammates were alright, but they just clamped a hand over her mouth. They were trying to think of how to escape. However, Naruto screamed out a warning. Sasuke! Sakura! Hibi! They turned around and jumped out of the way as a giant brown snake clamped down around the tree trunk they were previously seated on. The snake went for Naruto, who could clearly sense Orochimaru's chakra coming from the snake. Don't come near me, you snake freak! Naruto threw 2 handfuls of shuriken at the snake, who caught them full in the face. It hissed in pain and slammed into the ground dead. All 3 of them saw a crack appear in the snake's skin and Orochimaru emerged from it. You really never do let your guard down. Prey needs to strain their minds all the time and run around in presense of a predator. Orochimaru somehow managed to extend his torso so he could wrap around the tree and go for Naruto. However, he was stopped by a hail of shuriken and kunai from Sasuke's direction. If you want to try and kill my Otuto, then you have to try me first. Orochimaru looked at Sasuke. Very well, Sasuke-kun. Orochimaru retreated back to his body and went after Sasuke. However, again he was stopped by a barrage of kunai and shuriken. If you want to kill my Nizan, then you have to kill me first. Orochimaru sighed and plotted his next move. Naruto smiled. Going with your prey theme, even if we were to give you a replacement for our lives, namely the scroll, I highly doubt that the scroll is your objective. What do you want with us? Orochimaru laughed. You are indeed sharp, Naruto-kun. I am not here to take this petty Chunin exam. I'm here for a very different reason. And what would that be? Why don't we find out? Naruto nodded to Sasuke and they both charged at Orochimaru. Orochimaru bit his thumb and wiped it down a tattoo on his forearm. Naruto knew what that was. That's Kuchio's no Jutsu. Orochimaru was surrounded by a large cloud of smoke from which burst a giant snake with Orochimaru on top of it. The snake slapped both of them away with its tail. Both of them slammed through a branch before hitting a much thicker branch with a resounding thunk. As they both plummeted back to earth, Orochimaru laughed. Eat them. However, they both opened their eyes. Both of their eyes were different. Naruto's were blood red instead of cerulean blue. Sasuke's were also blood red instead of their normal obsidian black. Naruto and Sasuke both landed and gave the snake a massive punch, making the snake buckle under the power of the impact. Naruto and Sasuke continued their endless combo of beast-like punches and kicks, ripping the train up as they did. Most of it was done by Naruto, however, their attacks were so well timed that it was impossible to tell to others. They both back-flipped off the snake and landed next to Sakura. The snake came back and whipped its tail at them. They didn't have time to take Sakura with them, so they could only hope she managed to avoid it. Luckily, she dodged the tail by mere meters. Naruto and Sasuke stood side by side, panting heavily. Orochimaru looked at them. What will you do? You know you cannot win. How about I pick you off one at a time? Sasuke sneered. Don't you dare. I don't care what you do to anyone else, but if you lay a finger on Naruto, I'll kill you. Naruto growled. I don't care what you do to Konoha. Burn it, kill everyone in it. It doesn't matter as long as you leave Sasuke alone, I'll let you live. Orochimaru's eyes widened in surprise. Originally, he only planned on marking Sasuke, but Naruto's personality made him a perfect potential applicant. Orochimaru smiled. Well then, show me it's worth letting you live. Naruto looked at Sasuke. Let's get the snake bastard. They both charged at him, before splitting off and coming at him from both sides. Orochimaru's body flickered out of the way, leaving Naruto and Sasuke to do a 180 and press their backs to each other's. Orochimaru's body flickered all over the place, but Naruto and Sasuke kept up with his movements. They both dodged as Orochimaru slammed into the trunk they were just standing on, snapping it like a twig. Sasuke unleashed a Katon, Gakakyu no Jutsu, while Naruto unleashed a wave of chakra at Orochimaru, effectively pinning him from both sides. Orochimaru came out of the fire and challenged Sasuke, who dodged the attack and stood ready. Orochimaru unleashed a wave of chakra like Naruto had, but Sasuke jumped out of the way again. Sasuke jumped up and attached himself to a block upside down which Naruto mirrored. They both launched themselves at Orochimaru, grabbing him. Sasuke from behind and Naruto from in front. They dragged him off the branch and prepared for a combo brain smasher. Orochimaru screamed on the way down, while Naruto and Sasuke screamed back, but with words. We've got you! They slammed Orochimaru into the branch with such force that he shattered through it and kept going to the next one. This time, however, the branch held from the impact, splintering and almost absorbing Orochimaru's head. They both jumped off and landed on opposite sides of him. What they didn't expect was that Orochimaru was actually a mud bunshin. They watched as the body turned to mud and fall into a pile of goop on the tree branch. They dodged the blizzard of kunai and jumped off the branch. Sasuke brought out some ninja wire to aid his descent, while Naruto attached his feet to the side of the tree and followed Sasuke, landing on another branch. However, they were caught off guard when Orochimaru attacked from behind with taijutsu, landing a combo on both of them at the same time before kicking them to the ground. Pathetic. You're not living up to your family names. Naruto smiled. Really? Just then, some explosive notes that they had attached to Orochimaru's back exploded, propelling him forward. Naruto looked at Sasuke and nodded. They both announced their plan in unison. Combo time. Sasuke nodded and prepared for the new part of the combo he and Naruto had developed for forest warfare. Naruto formed the hand seal for his favorite technique. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 5 clones of Naruto appeared, and charged forward. Orochimaru was still recovering from the unexpected explosive notes, so he didn't get a chance to defend against Naruto's clones. They kicked him up into the air, beginning the combo. Uzumaki. The clones kicked Orochimaru up to the required height and Orochimaru looked down at the clones in interest. They smiled back up at him. We're not what you should be concentrating on. Orochimaru looked around to see the real Naruto flying through the air and colliding with him head-on in the gut, sending him flying back against the trunk of a tree. Naruto. Just as Orochimaru started recovering, he saw a set of shuriken fly past him with wires attached to them. Orochimaru noticed what they were. These are Sharingan-controlled triple windmill blades. They surrounded Orochimaru and Sasuke expertly controlled them to fasten his target to the trunk of the tree. Sasuke formed the seals for the final part of the combo. Ryuka Rindan. The flame gathered around Sasuke before flying towards Orochimaru. They plowed into him, burning his face and upper body. The flames were so powerful that they continued through the tree and out into the forest. They could all hear Orochimaru scream in agony. Eventually, Sasuke let up and breathed heavily as Naruto landed beside him. Sakura ran down and greeted them. Sasuke-kun! Naruto! You did it! Sakura saw them both panting hard and she became concerned. Are you okay? Hang in there. They were too busy to notice that Orochimaru had freed himself and had used Kanashibari no Jutsu on them, freezing them in place. Orochimaru called to them from across the clearing. I'm surprised you can use the Sharingan so well at your age, Sasuke-kun. I'm also surprised at how well you can tap into the Kyuubi's chakra reserves, Naruto-kun. You both live up to your family names. I want you after all. Orochimaru pulled his hand away from his head to reveal that he was actually wearing a sound Hittite. Sasuke-kun, you and Itachi are definitely brothers. Your eyes say that you carry more potential than Itachi. Naruto-kun, you are definitely your father's son. You have the potential to surpass him. Orochimaru pulled out their heaven scroll and burned it with a fire of green chakra. If you want to see me again, then get through this exam as if your life depended on it. That means you must defeat my 3 sound ninja subordinates. Sakura decided to backchat him. What are you blabbering about? We never want to see your face again. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. Orochimaru formed a strange hand seal and his neck extended towards the group. First, it went for Sasuke and bit down on his neck. Once Orochimaru had delivered his toxic payload, he bit down on Naruto's neck, leaving the same mark. He withdrew his neck back to normal size and watched as Sasuke and Naruto started screaming in agony and clutching their necks. Sakura turned to Orochimaru in horror. What did you do to them? I gave them a little going-away present. Sasuke-kun and Naruto-kun will seek me for power. It was fun being able to see a lot of your moves. Orochimaru melted into the tree branch, leaving Naruto and Sasuke to scream and writhe in agony. Sakura had no idea what was going on. Sakura watched as both of them finally fell unconscious, leaving Sakura alone to defend herself and her teammates. Next morning, Sakura awoke with a start when she realized she had been sleeping. She saw that both her teammates were struggling with their unconscious battles. Sakura snapped her head up when she felt something running at her. She saw it was a squirrel. Smiling, she watched the squirrel run towards her. She became alert and threw a kunai at the squirrel to stop its advance. That was far too close. Unknown to her, the 3 from the sound were watching this observantly from the scrub nearby. Oh? She's an observant one. She noticed the explosive tag? No, that's not it. Then what was it? Let's find out now, shall we? With that, the 3 jumped out of the bushes and landed on the other side of the clearing from Sakura. Sakura recognized them as the team from the sound. What do you 3 want? We're here to see Sasuke-kun and Naruto-kun. We want to fight them. Be a good girl and wake them up for us. How could you want to fight them? Some weird guy called Orochimaru bit them and put this weird bruise on their necks. They stared in shock at Sakura, but the tallest one cracked his knuckles. Well then, I'll just have to kill this girl and wait for them to wake up. The other boy on their team held up his arm. Wait, Zaku. What's wrong, Dosu? Dosu walked forward and stopped at a patch of ground that would be no different to anyone who wasn't looking. A recently overturned stone, different colored dirt grass doesn't grow here. This is obviously a booby trap, and a very poorly made one at that. Frankly, you have no skill as a ninja. Pfft, how stupid. Since we have no use for this girl. Sakura readied herself. Kill her. With that, the 3 sound nins jumped at Sakura, who just smirked and cut a wire string she had been sitting in front of. The 3 from the sound looked up to see a gant log attached to a rope crash through the canopy and right towards them. Dosu just smirked and put his hand on the log and shattered it. Pathetic. People like you should work harder before you mess with guys like us. Sakura just sighed and waited for the end. However, one green spandex-wearing ninja had seen this whole engagement and decided to intervene at that point in time. Konoha-senpu! Lee smiled as he sent the three from the sound flying back before taking his personalized taijutsu fighting stance, with the squirrel that the exposed tag had been strapped on his shoulder. Then you guys should asshole work harder. Who are you? I am Konoha's beautiful green beast, Rock Lee. Sakura mumbled. Why are you here? I will always appear when you are in trouble. Lee put the squirrel on the ground and watched it scamper off. Well, thank you, you saved me. I said it before? Sakura wondered what that meant. I would protect you until I die. Lee smiled to himself for his small victory. Yes. I'm awesome, Guy-sensei. Dosa was the first into action. I'll take care of them. With that said, Dosa ran at Lee. Lee plunged his hand into the ground as Dosa leapt into the air to try and gain the advantage of added weight to his attack gained by the momentum of falling. Lee pulled out one of the tree's roots to form a shield for himself and Sakura. There's some sort of trick to your attacks, right? I'm not going to take them head on. Even so, 3-on-1 is a severe disadvantage. I have no choice but to take all three out one at a time with full power. Lee remembered the one strict condition he was supposed to abide by when using his signature technique. To protect an important person. With that, Lee disappeared and reappeared underneath Dosu, kicking him under the chin, causing him to sail through the air. Lee once again disappeared, and reappeared behind Dosu. Dosu's eyes widened in fear. This is then end. Lee wrapped his medical tape around Dosu and began spinning at an extreme rate before plummeting to the ground. Zaku knew he had to intervene or else Dosu was going to be 6 feet under. He formed a set of hand seals and plunged his hands into the ground, sending 2 raised tunnels of air-filled dirt towards where Dosu was going to land, and the twin tunnels turned into a raised mound, just as Dosu was slammed into the ground at a terrifying speed. Omote wrench. Lee smirked while the sound ninjas stared in awe. Dosu started to pull himself out of the mound. Lee was shocked at this. Nanny! What a truly terrifying technique. I landed on a sponge of dirt and air, and it still hurt like hell. However, it's my turn now. Dosu ran at Lee, who was still recovering from the racking pain of opening the first celestial gate. Damn it, I can't dodge. Dosu aimed a punch at Lee's head, but Lee managed to block it. Or so he thought. His head started to swim. If your moves are at high speed, then ours are at the speed of sound. I'll show you a wall that no amount of hard work can surpass. Lee lost his balance and fell to the ground, throwing up. Lee-san. Heh. You see, there's a little trick to my attacks. You can't just dodge them. Our attacks are made purely of sound. Even if you dodge my attack, sound will still reach you. Do you know what sound actually is? Vibrations. Exactly. Hearing sound means that your eardrum is catching the shaking of the air. And the human eardrum will break if it picks up any sounds in excess of 150 MHz. Deeper in the ear still lies the semicircular canals. If they are damaged, you lose your balance. You won't be able to move your body for a while. Ha! Lame old taijutsu won't work against us. I have to say though, you were doing well enough to force me to use a jutsu. I can freely control supersonic sound waves and air pressure to the extent that I can destroy rocks with ease. Blasting air into the dirt and creating a cushion is nothing. Our techniques are far superior to your stupid ones. Dosu raised his right arm. God damn it, why does everyone have to be right-handed? Yes, I'm a lefty, to reveal a device strapped to his forearm. Alright, your turn. Sakura readied herself. Lee, on the other hand, had other ideas. He charged in and performed a half-strength Konoha Senpu. Dosa looked on in shock. Man, don't scare me like that. Although you somehow managed to move, it seems you're at your limit. I'll finish you off now. Dosa gave a sweeping right hook. Lee brought his hand up to block it. Dosa just smirked at this. This arm amplifies the small sounds produced to their ultimate level. You could say it's a speaker. However, the direction of the sound does not follow the arm. I use my chakra to make sure it reaches its intended target. The sound waves were indeed bending and aiming towards Lee's ear. When they hit the ear, Lee screamed and dropped to the ground. Dosa turned back to Sakura. Now, let's finish this. Sakura suddenly got a burst of determination. She picked out some shuriken and kunai and threw them at Dosu. I won't let you. Dosu just sighed. Oh please. Unknown to them, Ino, Shikamaru and Choji were watching from some nearby bushes. Choji was the first to speak. We should get out of here. They're too strong. It seems like Naruto and Sasuke are knocked out, and now it's just Sakura against those three. Even Lee's been defeated. What will you do? What do you mean, what will I do? Well, you and Sakura used to be good friends, right? Ino took a little trip down memory lane to the time when Sakura had declared that they were rivals from now on. Why am I remembering that? Hey Ino? What are we going to do? What can we do? If we go out, we'll just be defeated. Sakura had just unleashed another wave of shuriken at Dosu. However, Zaku intercepted and blasted the shuriken back at Sakura, forcing her onto the ground. Just as Sakura was about to get back up, she felt someone appear behind her and yank on her hair. Sakura turned to see the female Sound Nin holding onto her hair. Much glossier than mine. If you have time to take care of your hair, then train some more, you female swine. Zaku kills Sasuke in front of her. Sakura stiffened visibly at the mention of killing Sasuke. This did not go unnoticed by the female Sound Nin. Don't move. Sakura began to cry. I am still just getting in the way, always being protected. I can't stand it this time. This time I thought that I have to protect those who are important to me. Zaku began walking over to Sasuke. Now shall we? Sakura knew this was her last chance to prove herself to Team 7. She pulled out a kunai. That won't work against me. Sakura just gave the female ninja a cocky smirk. What are you talking about? With that, Sakura used the kunai to cut her hair, releasing her from held in place. This shocked everyone beyond belief. I always said I liked Sasuke-kun. I used to always lecture Naruto, but all I ever did was watch your backs. Now, it's time for you two to watch my back. Zaku snarled and turned to his female teammate. Kin! Kill her! Kin responded by stabbing Sakura in the back with a kunai, only to find Sakura had used Kawarimi no Jutsu. Sakura reappeared and began running at Zaku, a kunai in between each finger. Pathetic air pressure 100% sound waves 0% blast. Sakura again used Kawarimi no Jutsu. You're fooling no one. You're above. Time to get serious. Zaku released a wave of kunai at Sakura and began looking around madly. Now, where did you go? Unfortunately for Zaku, Sakura had not used the replacement technique, and had taken the attack head-on. Zaku realized this when Sakura was about 2 meters from him. He brought his arms up to block, and Sakura stabbed his right forearm with her kunai and bit down on his left forearm. Zaku growled and began punching Sakura in the head. Let go of me. Sakura held on in grim determination, which was making Zaku pissed off. I said let go of me, god damn it. Finally, Zaku managed to dislodge Sakura from his arm and prepared for an air cutter attack. You brat. Just as Zaku was powering up his technique, Ino's team had decided to take that moment to jump in. Sakura looked up at her saviors. Ino? I said I'd never lose to you, Sakura. I already said that. Humph, seems some more weirdos have crawled out of the woodwork. Choji suddenly tried to scramble away. What are you two doing? We'll be killed. Shikamaru, let go of my scarf. Yeah right, idiot. It's troublesome, but since Ino jumped out, we as her teammates have to join her as well. Hey, you can run if you want, fatty. Choji suddenly stopped his flailing. He stopped dead. Ino and Shikamaru looked on in interest. Choji said something in little more than a whisper. I'm sorry, I think he just said something, although I didn't quite hear it. Care to repeat it? Zaku looked at him in confusion. Eh? The word fat is taboo for Choji. Say it twice and... Gathering his composure again, Zaku repeated what he said. I said you can just go jack off in the woods, fat ass. Choji whirled around. I'm not a fat ass, damn it. I'm just chubby. Hooray for chubbies. Zaku looked amused. Choji turned to his teammates with fire in his eyes that would make Lee turn even greener than he was already with envy. You too. You know this is a war between the leaf and the sound, right? Shikamaru let go of Choji's scarf. Man, this is going to suck. That's our line. Ino called out to Sakura over her shoulder. Sakura, take care of Sasuke and Naruto. Yeah. Alright. Time for Ino team's full power. Let's go. Choji, do your thing. Okay. Baika no Jutsu. Choji suddenly turned into a giant sphere with arms, legs and a head. He drew his appendages in, and began rolling towards Zaku. Ha! What kind of a technique is this? It's just some fat-ass rolling. Air cutter. The stream of air seemed to stop Choji until Choji bounced into the air, attempting to land on top of Zaku and squash him. Dosu began running at Zaku to tackle him out of the way, however, Shikamaru wasn't going to have that. Oh no you don't! Ninpu, Kage Main no Jutsu! Shikamaru's shadow shot out and touched Dosu's feet, stopping him in his tracks. Shikamaru made a strange gesture with his hands, which was mirrored by Dosu. Kin screamed at her teammate. Dosu, what the hell are you doing? Ino, now there's just the girl. Take care of my body, Shikamaru. Ninpu, Shintenshin no Jutsu. Suddenly, Kin seized up and the howl of a wolf could be heard inside everyone's minds. Ino slumped to the ground, and Shikamaru caught her and leaned her up against a tree. Kin pulled out a kunai and held it to her own throat. This is it. If you guys move an inch, I'll kill this Kin girl. However, the two other members of the sound team were just snickering. Zaku raised his hand to let loose an air cutter on the Ino-controlled Kin. Zaku smiled as he got up. You guys are confused. Our mission is not to get the scrolls or even to pass this exam. It's Sasuke-kin. Shikamaru's Kage Main no Jutsu had drained all of his chakra. Sighing, he released it. Oh? It looks like the limit for this jutsu is about 5 minutes. It also seems from the internal bleeding of your teammate, if we kill Kin, she'll die too. Then, another voice came from above them. What the hell do you think you're doing? Everyone looked up to see Lee's teammates standing up in the tree. Zaku was the first to reply, as per normal. It seems you guys keep crawling out like cockroaches. Why don't you come down here and fight us? Niji activated his Byakugan and looked at everyone before seeing Naruto and Sasuke. He looked surprised before smirking. That won't be necessary. Everyone turned to see Naruto and Sasuke stand up. Sakura was initially relieved to see her teammates up. Sasuke-kun. Naruto. You're. Everyone by now saw that they were surrounded by an immense wave of purple chakra. When the chakra died down, they gasped to see strange markings all over their bodies. Naruto stepped forward. Sakura, who did that to you? Sakura was more interested in what was happening to their bodies. Naruto, your body. It's fine, Sakura. I feel great. Power is flowing through me. He gave it to us. Sakura had no clue what Naruto was talking about. Sasuke filled her in. We understand now. I am an Avenger, as is Naruto. We will gain power in any way we can, even if it means selling our souls to the devil. Naruto turned to the sound ninjas. So it was you who did this, right? Zaku got some of his confidence back. No need to be afraid of these half-dead freak, Dosu. Maximum air cutter. Zaku unleashed a major attack that cut a huge swathe through the area. Zaku panted before chuckling. I blew them to pieces. Who exactly are you talking about? Zaku looked behind him to see Naruto and Sasuke as they put barely any effort into slamming Zaku to the ground. Naruto looked at Zaku and gave him a very sadistic smile. Let's go, Sasuke. Sure thing. Sasuke used the Katon Hausenka, which Zaku extinguished with an air cutter. He realized far too late that the fireballs were actually protecting a shuriken each. These shuriken ripped into Zaku. Naruto and Sasuke took this time to body flicker behind him and each put a foot on his back while holding one of his arms. It seems you're pretty proud of these arms, eh? Would you like us to rip them off and beat you with them? Please stop. Naruto and Sasuke paid no attention to his pleas and broke his arms, letting him fall to the ground in a screaming heap. Naruto and Sasuke turned slowly to look at Dosu, who cowered. Please tell us you are more fun to beat up than he was. Dosu just stepped back, trying pitifully to escape them. Sakura couldn't take this anymore. These weren't the Naruto and Sasuke she knew. She charged at them and flung her arms around them, causing them to stop. Sasuke-kun, Naruto, please stop. Slowly, their crew's seals began to retreat back to the marks on their neck, and they both collapsed onto the ground. Dosa sighed with relief. Naruto-kun, Sasuke-kun. We cannot beat you this time. I will leave our team's scroll here. It may seem confident, but there is something we must find out. However, should we cross paths again during this exam, we will not run away. Dosa put one of his teammates over each shoulder and turned to leave. Sakura stopped him. Wait. What did Orochimaru do to Sasuke-kun and Naruto? Why to them? Dosa shook his head. I truthfully don't know. We were simply ordered to kill them. Orochimaru never mentioned anything about marking them. Dosa jumped into the trees and disappeared, leaving the Konoha ninjas to sort things out. After they had discussed things, they split off to go their separate ways. Day 3 of the second test. With their Heaven Scroll burnt and in possession of the Odo team's Earth Scroll, Team 7 went searching for a team they could get a replacement Heaven Scroll from. Ever since Naruto had regained consciousness after the fight, he had attempted to contact Kyuubi to find out what was happening to his body. Naruto became increasingly worried when Kyuubi either refused to respond or was unable to respond to his questions. Finally, Naruto decided to see exactly what was wrong, and called a stop in a clearing next to the river. Naruto formed a quick hand seal Kyuubi had taught him that allowed him to enter his mind and visit whenever he wanted. When Sakura saw Naruto slump to the ground unconscious, she became worried and rushed over to his side, but was held back by Sasuke, who shook his head. Sakura looked to Sasuke for an explanation. He's fine, he's just checking his subconscious mind for any damages. He was taught that technique by a medical specialist when he was in the wave. Sakura nodded and watched Naruto, silently praying he would be okay. Meanwhile, when Naruto awoke, he was horrified at what he saw. The regular yellow sewer with yellow pipes was still there, however, there were a mass of pulsing purple pipes that outnumbered the yellow ones by 3 to 1. Naruto strained his ears and just heard a growl from the cage's direction. He ran to see what the problem was, twisting through the maze of corridors before emerging into the light, which faded to reveal the cage. Naruto noticed that Kyuubi was panting from exertion. So you finally turned up, kid? Kyuubi, why haven't you been responding to me? The Kyuubi lowered itself onto its haunches. I have, but it seems you never received my replies. That cursed seal is disgusting. I'm sure you noticed those purple pipes on the way here? Naruto nodded. The corridors represent the major chakra paths, while the pipes represent the minor ones. That cursed seal has created completely new chakra paths that gorge themselves on the major ones, draining you of your chakra when you try to mold it, and puts incredible strain on your cells. It seems that the people who don't have a large chakra reserve have all their chakra eaten during the initial stages, and that causes the person's cells to self-destruct from the strain. You have no idea how close you were to dying, even with my help. If this keeps up, you will never be able to use my chakra again, because all of it is devoted to keeping the cursed seal at bay and healing the wounds you get in combat, and the wounds this seal is causing. Kit, here's a warning. Until you can find someone who can put an overlaying seal on it, do not use jutsus. The only way I can think that would give you an edge would be to directly convert your stamina into speed and strength, like that green spandex-wearing freak does. Naruto nodded as he took Kyuubi's advice in. He'd practiced stamina increased speed and power before several times. The speed and power it granted were unbelievable, but it drained stamina at a horrifying rate, even for him, as Sasuke had deemed him the stamina fiend. The most Naruto had managed was 25 minutes before he collapsed, and that was with Kyuubi's help. Without it, he guessed he could last or so minutes before exhaustion set in. Naruto broke his chain of thoughts and looked at the Kyuubi. Hold on for another 2 days. I'll get Kakashi-sensei to fix it. Fine. Now get out of here, I hate being seen in this state. Naruto raised an eyebrow. The only one seeing you like this is me, and I personally don't think any less of you for it. The Demon Lord raised its head and stared at the boy in disbelief. You don't think I'm weak now? Naruto shook his head. No. I would take an inhuman amount of power to keep the cursed seal at bay and heal me at the same time. Now I'm leaving before your head inflates and this room shrinks. The Kyuubi stared at the boy and laughed as he retreated back to the real world. Kyuubi mused to itself. He's not like the rest of those pieces of trash. Not by a long shot. Naruto woke up to find that Sakura had started a fire, and Sasuke was brining back fish for them to cook and eat. Sasuke saw Naruto sit up and rub his eyes. Sasuke skewered the fish with a stick and put them against the fire to let them cook. He sat on the opposite side of the fire from Sakura, next to Naruto. Sasuke turned to his adopted brother with a look of concern on his face. What did you find? Naruto returned the serious gaze. If we use jutsus, I use it or you use your Sharingan, we're pretty much stuffed. Sasuke nodded slowly. I had a feeling it would be something like that. Naruto smiled. I did find out that we do have one thing going for us though. Sasuke turned to Naruto with interest. What would that be? Naruto smiled sadistically. We may not be able to mold chakra, but we can still use stamina in its raw form. Sasuke had been training with Naruto during the stamina-induced speed and strength training. Remembering this, he smiled. It's not all bad, I guess. Naruto laughed half-heartedly. Imagine the look on that green freak's face when he sees it. Sasuke smirked. Priceless. They both shared a chuckle as they pulled one of the fish off the fire, now that they were cooked, and began eating. Sakura had no idea what they were talking about, but then again, she'd found out early they were able to make obscure references or hint at things that would leave anyone else with no clue, but the other would pick it up flawlessly and run with it. She'd gotten used to the fact that she was the odd one out of this group. She could tell, even if she refused to believe it, that they would both be content if they could get rid of her off the team. After they had finished with their fish, Naruto looked at Sasuke, who nodded. They turned to Sakura. Sasuke spoke for them. Sakura, we're both still hungry, so we're going to go catch another bunch of fish. Give me your canteen, we'll fill it up while we're there. Sakura handed her canteen to Sasuke, and the two boys left to go to the river. However, they were only using the ruse they were still hungry to get away from her. It was true, but it still provided an excuse to talk privately. Once they emerged from the foliage, they sat at the riverbank, talking about everything that had happened so far, while skewering any fish stupid enough to jump out of the water to a tree with a thrown kunai, which was apparently a lot of them. After what they deemed was as long as they could stay without making Sakura worried, Sasuke got up and filled the canteens with fresh water while Naruto retrieved the fish. Once they finished, Naruto jumped over the river to land next to Sasuke with their kunai and fish. He sighed as they began walking back to camp. Sakura's a total nuisance. It seems all she's good at is using that abnormally large brain of hers to answer theoretical questions, and use the most basic skills in the most predictable manner. Sasuke nodded in agreement. Naruto had only said his true feelings for his female teammate in Sasuke's presence when he was certain Sakura or anyone else was out of earshot. Naruto had very bad experiences with giving his opinions to friends, as he found the next day, the person he had talked about cornered him with a group of friends. If they were male, they'd beat him. If they were female, they'd cuss him out. He'd quickly learned that Sasuke was the only person in the entire village he could really trust to keep secrets. Sasuke also felt the same way about Naruto. It was one of the core parts of their friendship. Everyone else was not to be trusted, because even after multiple chances, they all screwed up every time. They were brought back from their prospective memories when they saw Theta Ninja was standing in a very imposing position over Sakura. Both boys noticed it was Kabuto. They took an offensive stance and charged in, however, Kabuto stood up and smiled. No need to attack me, you two. I was actually stopping Sakura from opening the scroll. They looked to see that Sakura was indeed beginning to open the scroll. Sasuke sighed and Naruto growled through clenched teeth. Can we really not leave you alone for 10 minutes without you getting into some sort of trouble? Sakura looked at Naruto and tried to apologize. I don't want to hear it. Give me the scroll. Naruto took the scroll out of Sakura's hands with more force than was necessary. Naruto turned to Kabuto. Thanks for that, Kabuto. Kabuto smiled warmly at them. No problem. Sasuke raised an eyebrow. By the way, Kabuto, what are you doing here by yourself? Are your teammates nearby? Kabuto shook his head and explained what his team had planned. Originally, we planned to separate. I was charged with recovering the other scroll while my teammates would head to the tower. They would also grab a set of scrolls from other teams who came close in case I returned empty-handed or without the scroll we needed. Sasuke nodded. It was a decent plan, providing you could beat 3 other genins by yourself. Kabuto smiled at them. Since I'm here, would I be able to ask you guys for escort to my teammates? Naruto smiled. What's in it for us? Kabuto rubbed the back of his head and smiled sheepishly. Well, I managed to get a second heaven scroll before I found the earth scroll we needed. Sasuke humphed. Deal. Let's get going. Kabuto led the way to the tower. However, Naruto called for a stop. They looked at him expectantly. He closed his eyes for a moment before opening them. Straight ahead is a large area surrounded by concealed chakra. It's very faint, but I can feel it. The only thing I can think of is an area genjutsu. Sasuke nodded. I felt something was wrong. That makes sense. Kabuto looked at the tower before turning back to his escorts. You're right. The tower should be much larger by now, but the genjutsu is warping it. We should go around it. They nodded and shot off in a different direction, much to a group of hidden mist nin's chagrin. Within several hours of tree jumping, they had reached the base of the tower. Kabuto smiled and pulled out the heaven scroll, handing it to them. They heard rustling in the bushes next to them, and they tensed before Kabuto's teammates stepped out. They looked at the scroll Kabuto was giving Naruto and looked back at Kabuto. The one with the clear glasses frowned. Kabuto, what is the meaning of this? Kabuto smiled in his usual friendly way. Well, I happened to find an extra heaven scroll before I found an earth one, and as a trade for them escorting me here, I gave them the extra one. The one with the black glasses nodded. That's fine. However, Sensei's expecting us. You know he doesn't like to be kept waiting. Naruto smiled. Thanks for your help, Kabuto. We'll see you in the finals. Kabuto smiled and waved at them. Take care. With that, Capcho increased his walking pace and caught up to his teammates, and they entered a door of the tower. Team 7 took the one next to them, and took out the scrolls. Naruto handed one to Sasuke and they looked at each other, nodded and ripped the scrolls open. The main part of the written seal raised and smoke emitted from the lump. Sasuke knew exactly what this was. Naruto! These are summoning scrolls! Get rid of them! Naruto and Sasuke threw the scrolls on top of each other on the floor in front of them. The smoke increased in volume before it exploded into a cloud, revealing their academy teacher when it cleared. Sakura was the only person who was happy to see him. To Naruto and Sasuke, he was just another person who couldn't be trusted. Iruka smiled at them, pulling a watch out of his pocket and opened it, checking the time. He sighed before snapping the watch's lid closed again and putting it back in his pocket. Congratulations on passing. I knew you could do it. Naruto wanted to know why Iruka had appeared. Iruka-sensei. Why were you summoned? Iruka smiled. Chunins are required to meet every team that passes the second test. I was lucky enough to be chosen to give you the message. Naruto nodded. Sasuke smirked, making everyone look at him. I see. Since these are summoning scrolls, what would you have planned to do if we had opened them before we got here? Iruka smiled and turned around to collect the scrolls. You're as sharp as ever, Sasuke. Iruka picked up the scrolls, showing them to them. As you have guessed, this part of the exam tests your mission completion ability. So if you had broken the rules and opened them prematurely, we were ordered to knock out that team until the second exam ended. Sasuke smirked again and looked at Sakura. Are you glad now that you didn't open it? Naruto joined Sasuke, staring at Sakura, who was sweating bullets, making a silent thank you to Kabuto. Sakura decided to try and get the attention taken away from her by pointing to the inscription on the wall. Oh, Sensei, what does that inscription on the wall mean? I've read it, but I don't understand it. Iruka smiled, turning around and looking at it. That was the second half of my mission, to explain what that means. Read it. It's the principle Hokage-sama wrote that you should keep in mind as a Chunin. Heaven in this text refers to the head of a person, and earth points to the body. If you do not possess heaven, gain knowledge and be prepared. Say, for example, if your brain was your weak point, you should study and prepare for your missions. If you do not possess earth, run through the fields and seek strength. So if your weakness is your stamina and strength, then you should train yourself every day. If you possess both, and dangerous missions will become safe. It can even become easy. Sakura pointed to where the missing letter was on the inscription. Then what's that missing letter? Iruka smiled. It's the letter that symbolizes a Chunin. The human letter that was in the Earth Scroll goes there too. The survival mission you took part in these last 5 days tested the basic abilities of the examinees as a Chunin, and you guys completed it. A Chunin is a commander class. He has a duty to lead his team. Deeply inscribe into your heart the importance of knowledge and strength in missions. Never forget that Chunin principle, and go on to the next step. That's all I was ordered to tell you. Team 7 nodded in understanding. Iruka smiled and waved to them. I'll catch you guys later. With that, Iruka puffed out of existence, leaving Team 7 to go to the central hall, where they found every other team that had passed was mulling around. They also noticed that all of the examiners, jounins, and even the Hokage was standing up the front of the room. Anko turned away from the circle of jounins and faced the genin. Her voice rang out from every corner of the room, indicating she was using a PA. Alright, line up in your teams, we have an announcement to make. The genins lined up. The Konoha ninjas saw that the entire Rookie 9, Team Guy and Kabuto's team, as had the Oto and Suna teams, had made it. They turned back to Anko as she cleared her throat. First of all, congratulations on passing the second test. We will now have an explanation on the third exam from Hokage-sama. Everyone listen well. The Hokage stepped forward, cleared his throat, and began. The third exam will begin, however, before that, there is something that I want to make clear to all of you. Several people in the room knew what was coming next. Kabuto's team were some of them. Naruto had a fair idea, but he kept his mouth shut. It's about the true purpose of the exam. Why we do a joint exam with the allied nations. Naruto and Sasuke knew exactly where this was going now, but they still decided to shut up, mainly because of the constant pain they got from their seals. To maintain good relations with the allied nations, and to heighten the level of the ninja, do not let those reasons deceive you. This exam, so to speak, is really just a replacement for war. A lot of the genin gasped. Tenten decided to question what this meant. What do you mean? If we go back into the pages of history, the current allied nations now were in fact bitter enemies, fighting for the right to rule. To avoid the massive waste of military power that is the result of war, they agreed to localize the fighting to one area. This was the beginning of the Chunin selection exams. Ino still didn't understand. What? So this isn't for Chunin promotions? This exam is indeed examine those who are worthy of the Chunin title. But on the other hand, it is also a place where ninja fight and carry their country's dignity. In the third exam, feudal lords and famous people from varying empires who may be potential clients are invited here as guests. Feudal lords from countries with hidden villages and ninja leaders will see your battles. If there is a significant difference in power, the strong country will be flooded with jobs. If a country is seen as weak, their jobs will decrease, and at the same time, countries are able to show how their village has grown, and posse's excellent military power to the adjacent countries. In other words, they can put foreign pressure on them. Kiba obviously still didn't get it, and proved it by questioning the Hokage further. So why do we have to fight with the risk of losing our lives? Naruto sighed mentally. No wonder he doesn't get it. His dog has brains that rival his. Naruto looked to the Hokage as he had a fair idea of what speech the Hokage would use to answer it. A county's power is the village's power. The village's power is the shinobi's power, and a shinobi's Tuesday power is only manifested in life or death situations. How true that is. Naruto knew if he managed to get this curse seal at least suppressed, and he was put into a life or death situation, he felt sorry for his opponent. He tuned back into the Hokage's speech. This exam is also a place to show off the ninja power of one's country. Since this is an exam where you fight with your lives on the line, it has a meaning, and your predecessors have fought and dreamed of being in the Chunin exam because of it. Apparently, no one had any more questions. However, Gaara was obviously impatient. I don't care. Tell us the details of this life or death exam. The Hokage nodded. Then I will begin explaining the details of the third test, but... The Hokage was interrupted by a jounin whose body flickered in front of him. Excuse me, Hokage-sama. I, Gekahate, the judge, will explain. Please do. Gekka slowly stood up, not turning to face them. It's nice to meet you, everyone. Everyone, before the third test, there's something I want you to do. Fight in some preliminary matches to see who gets to progress to the main matches. Most of the genin started murmuring to each other. Sakura wanted a further explanation. Sensei, I don't understand. Why can't we just progress to the main matches with the remaining examinees? Gekka coughed again, and looked over them. It may have been that the exams were too easy this year, or you're all exceptional genins. However, there are far too many of you left. The time of the feudal lords and other important people is precious, and we cannot afford to waste it with endless battles. Therefore, only 10 or less people are allowed to enter the main matches. According to the Chunin exam regulations, we are required to hold preliminaries to decrease it to a suitable number. We are also limited on time, so those who do not feel well and wish to quit, please raise your hand now. You can do so without hurting your team, as from now on, it will be one-on-one matches. The preliminaries will begin immediately. Would anyone like to quit? Sasuke and Naruto were steeling their determination to keep going when a particularly bad pulse from the seal went off, causing them both to unconsciously grab their necks. Sakura noticed this. Sasuke-kun Naruto. Sasuke saw that he and Naruto were thinking the same thing. The time intervals between the pain spikes was getting shorter. Sakura saw where they were both clutching and guessed what the problem was. Sasuke-kun Naruto. You should both withdraw from the preliminary matches. Both of their eyes widened at this. Sakura pressed on. Both of you have been acting weird since that Orochimaru guy beat you. Naruto, you're acting more like when you fought Zabuza and Haku. The bruises hurt even now, right? Please stop. I'm afraid. Enko, Ibiki and the Hokage began discussing what they should do with the two. The suggestion of forcing them out of the matches and surrounding them with ANBU escort in isolation when Kakashi butted in. Neither of them are the sort that will listen to you that easily. They both have backgrounds that give them a stubborn will to try their hardest, after all. Enko got pissed off and started chewing Kakashi out for his lack of seriousness at the situation. Stop fooling around. I'll make them both quit, even if I have to use force. The Curseal reacts when they try to mold chakra and it will try and extract power from them. It's a forbidden jutsu that undermines the affected person. It amazes me that they're both able to withstand it. A normal person would be dead. Enko turned to the Hokage. Hokage-sama. Sakura still hadn't let up trying to make them quit. Neither of you are in any condition to fight. You should just. Both of them turned to her, glaring at her despite the pain. Shut up. I knew it. Sasuke whispered to her. Just be quiet. Sakura couldn't take the hint. You've both been bearing this pain the whole time. Naruto tried in this time. Sakura, learn when to take a hint and shut it. Sakura still didn't get it, and decided to go to the next level. Whatever you say, I'm still going to tell the teachers about it. Sakura started raising her hand, but she stopped when she saw Kabuto had already raised his own. The Hokage looked at him. What is it? I quit. Everyone stared at him and Gekko flipped through the clipboard's paper, stopping at a certain page. Your Konoha's Yakushi Kabuto, right? Okay, you can leave. Kabuto turned around and walked through the lines towards the door. As he walked out the back of the group of genin, Naruto stopped him. Kabuto, why are you quitting? Kabuto turned around and smiled at him. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun, but I'm exhausted of chakra. I'd rather quit now while I'm still in one piece than face off against someone and be taken out of here on a stretcher. Naruto sighed. Good luck next year, I guess. Kabuto nodded. Good luck to you too, Naruto-kun. Just then, both Sasuke and Naruto unconsciously grabbed their necks from the pain spike. Gekko turned back after having a short chat with a few of the other jounins and the Hokage. Will anyone else be quitting? Sakura started raising her hand, however, both Naruto and Sasuke grabbed her hand and brought it back down. Sakura gasped, but Sasuke continued to glare at her, as if daring her to try and raise her hand again. Be quiet about this, seal. Sakura started tearing up again, but shook her head to clear the tears. Why are you both acting so tough? I don't want to see you suffer anymore. Naruto wanted to butt in, but as much as he hated to admit it, Sasuke had more experience when it came to angsty speeches, so he let him continue. It doesn't matter to you, Sakura. You're just being nosy. Sasuke and Naruto dropped her hand, and she made no move to raise it again. Sakura looked at them questioningly, begging for a reason. Sasuke provided her with one. We told you before. We're both Avengers. To us, this isn't just an exam. We don't care about being Chunin either. Sasuke and Naruto both had a glazed expression covering their eyes, their faces showing they were deep in memory. Sasuke continued. Are we strong? That's all we want the answer to. Both of us are going to fight the strong ones and those strong guys are all here. Sasuke and Naruto broke out of their memories and glared at her. Sasuke finished off the speech. Neither of us will even allow you to take that away from us. With a cough, Gekko caught their attention. No one else made a move to quit, so Gekko pointed to one of the panels on the back wall. Said panel slid up to reveal a display screen. Then, let's start the preliminaries. It will consist of one-on-one matches. In other words, it will be like real combat. Now that we have exactly 20 people, we will have 10 matches. The winners will be able to progress to the third test. There are no rules for engaging in combat, and you will fight them until they die, are knocked out or admit defeat. However, if I decide the match is over, you will stop immediately. The electric bulletin board will choose 2 names at random from the participants. Without further ado, I will start the selection for the first match. The screen flashed completely yellow before the names of the people flashed over the board's top and bottom half with incredible speed. In between the names was a permanent VS symbol. The names stopped with a beep, revealing the first match was between Uchiha Sasuke and Akagi Yoroy. Naruto and Sasuke smiled. Neither of them had been expecting to get a go right off the bat, but it was a pleasant surprise. Gekko turned back to the Genins, coughing again. He motioned the 2 fighters forward. They walked out from their team lines and stood in front of everyone. As Sasuke passed Naruto, Naruto smiled and whispered to him, "Remember how we're going to fight." Like I could forget. Sasuke kept walking forward and stared at Yoroy. Gekko turned back to the other Genin. "The others who will not participate in this match, please stand on the balconies along with your Jounin senseis." Kakashi walked purposely close to where both Sasuke and Naruto were standing. "Neither of you use chakra or your special abilities." It was enough to know that Kakashi understood what had happened. Sasuke smiled. "We've got it covered." "Good. However, if the seal manifests during your fight, I will jump in to stop the fight." Sasuke and Naruto stiffened. He wouldn't dare, would he? Kakashi continued walking with Naruto and Sakura up to the balconies. Gekko coughed. "Are both fighters ready?" They nodded, and Gekko raised his hand. Then the first match began. Yoroy's hand began glowing with chakra and he charged Sasuke. However, Sasuke smirked and disappeared in extreme speed. This caught everyone's immediate attention. This was no normal speed. This kind of speed could only be gained in 2 ways. Years of harsh physical training, or pumping pure stamina into your muscles to increase speed and strength. Both options had their merits and disadvantages, but the disadvantages for the latter were far greater than the former. Not only would it eat at your stamina at an incredible rate, it would also put incredible strain on your body, equivalent to Lee's secondary lotus. The effects would take some time to begin showing. However, Sasuke had no intention of letting this fight get to that point. He appeared behind Yoroy and punched him in the small of the back, sending him flying. This had happened in less than a second since the match had started, and everyone was amazed. Sasuke pressed his advantage and charged again, leaving a trail of dust that had gathered on the floor behind him. Yoroy saw Sasuke coming and just managed to duck Sasuke's foot, which would have connected with his head and ended the match immediately. However, Yoroy was now inside Sasuke's guard and pressed the advantage. Yoroy's hand glowed blue again and sprang upwards before shoving his hand onto Sasuke's head. Sasuke immediately could tell something was wrong as he felt his strength quickly leaving his body. Sasuke kicked Yoroy's midsection to get him off, and considered his next move. Yoroy laughed. "So, you found out what my jutsu does?" "Yeah, it's rather interesting. A stamina-draining jutsu." Yoroy chuckled. "Exactly." No further words were said as Yoroy charged at him, hand once again covered in chakra. Sasuke decided to take a page from Naruto's book and try a variation of one of his combos. Sasuke disappeared and reappeared right underneath Yoroy, which caused him totally by surprise, throwing him off guard for a second. A single second was more than enough time for Sasuke to begin his move. Sasuke kicked Yoroy in the chin from his crouched position and jumped up to shadow his flight through the air. Sasuke had read about a particular part of a highly adaptive taijutsu combo native to the leaf which interested him. It was called the Leaf Shadow Dance. The possibilities of what to do from here were practically endless, providing you had the originality to do something new with it. So he decided to be original. Yoroy also apparently recognized the move. Leaf Shadow Dance? Sasuke had formed a new combo on the spur of the moment, and decided to try it. Yup. From here on out, it's all original. Sasuke poked 2 fingers into Yoroy's back to get a center of gravity from which to rotate for his attacks. However, being the annoying bastard he is, Orochimaru decided to toy with Sasuke and activated the cursed seal. Sasuke coughed up blood as the examiners considered jumping in. The fuck, I'm going to lose to this thing. With Sasuke's willpower alone, he forced the curse seal to withdraw, shocking more than a few people in the audience. Sasuke got his usual smirk back and put his fingers back in place. Sorry to keep you waiting. Let's go. Sasuke brought his right leg around in a sweeping strike, which Yoroy blocked with little effort. Not good enough. Kakashi and Naruto knew otherwise. No, you're not good enough. To illustrate the point, Sasuke brought his left fist in another sweeping motion, much like a lion wow when it slashed at its prey. This hit, Yoroy couldn't guard and it caught him full on the face, sending him plummeting to the ground. I'm not done yet. Sasuke landed another few sweeping strikes before he finished it off with an axe kick straight to Yoroy's midsection as he came into contact with the ground, essentially doubling the damage it would have done. Sasuke announced his combo to the crowd. Sure Rindan. Lion combo, for those of you who couldn't guess. Naruto smiled. He was absolutely flattered that Sasuke would take one of his original moves and modify it so that to others it would look original. However, this was one of the subtle ways Sasuke would acknowledge Naruto in public, which made it all the more sweeter. Apparently, Rock Lee was getting ideas. That's my. Naruto cut him off. That move does not belong to you or anyone else. The first two moves are a very common part of a lot of Konoha shinobi's taijutsu styles because of the huge variety of possibilities you can do with it. In fact, if he copied it off anyone, it was me. Lee was shocked at Naruto's level of knowledge. What he had said was true, however, Lee had never met a person before who used it apart from himself and his sensei. Said sensei had a few words to say. Naruto-kun, your fires of youth burn brightly and are an example to us all. We should all take an example from Naruto-kun and bask in the springtime of youth. Guy turned to Naruto, hoping for some input. However, the input he got was exactly what he was hoping he didn't get. Did you say something? Guy's eyes widened in disbelief as he clutched his hands to his head. The room suddenly turned pitch black, and only Guy was surrounded in a blue spotlight. Oh my God! The room returned to normal brightness and everyone in the room was staring at Guy. Everyone. Guy seemed to take no notice and turned to Kakashi. Kakashi, did you teach Naruto-kun your annoyingly hip attitude? Kakashi was actually reading his copy of Ika Ika Paradise, and looked up after this sentence. Did you say something, Guy? Guy face faulted, but quickly recovered. It seems we now both have rivals, Lee. We must work harder to overcome our difficulties in these times of trial. Guy-sensei, your words inspire us to live out our springtime of youth to the fullest. Lee, your words bring a tear to your sensei's aching heart. Guy-sensei. Lee. Guy-sensei. Lee. Everyone became aware of a constant rhythmical banging usually associated with bone-hitting hollow metal, and turned to see both of Lee's teammates banging their heads against the railing in time with each shout of a name. Naruto was interested with this, so he walked up to Tenten and tapped her on the back, causing he to startle out of her head-banging trance. What are you doing? Tenten looked at him sadly and recounted her tale. We have to put up with this regularly, so both Niji and I tried to find ways to block it out. Even earbuds didn't work, but then I started hitting my head against something solid when they degraded to calling each other by their names. Surprisingly, the quick jolt of pain manages to block out their voices for the second it takes to call each other. Naruto was laughing up a storm mentally. He saw that the heir to the branch family of the Hyuga was also doing this. The Hyugas may be bastards, but not even I would subject them to this on a daily basis. The fox seemed to agree for once. This is worse than anything I've heard of either Ibiki, Enko or Orochimaru doing combined. Just them, both Guy and Lee flung themselves into each other's arms and started crying rivers. Naruto started backing away cautiously, hoping not to set them off. Holy shit, do you know any sort of rare incurable disease that gives people bowl cuts, super brows, makes them wear green spandex and scream about hip attitudes and the springtime of youth? Naruto heard a sigh in the back of his mind as the QB began. I ever had, I would make sure to destroy them and everyone they pass the disease onto. Whatever it is, it's not natural. It's even scaring me, and that's saying something. Naruto was brought out of his inward conversation when a kunai came whizzing past his cheek and landed at the front of Lee and Guy. Everyone turned to Enko, who looked very peeved. She glared at them. Would you two both shut up? We're trying to get these fights over with. They both decided shut up as they noticed everyone was staring at them warily. Gekko coughed to catch their attention, and pointed to the screen. We will now decide the next match. The screen once again flashed and began scrolling through the names. The next match was unexpected. Uzumaki Naruto vs Inuzuka Kiba. By now, Sasuke had limped back up to the crowd and joined his team. Naruto could tell that the pain intervals were becoming far too frequent for his liking, and Kakashi seemed to notice this. After your match, Naruto, both of you are coming with me so we can fix that problem. They turned at him and glared. No point in glaring. If we leave it for much longer, it might do something irreversible. Naruto sighed and jumped down, which caused a shudder to go through his body. Kiba had no idea if he was lucky or unlucky, and this showed on his face as uncertainty. Naruto took advantage of this. You're lucky in a way. I can't use my chakra, therefore no jutsus. However, that leaves me with taijutsu. Gekko coughed, and brought his hand down in between them. Second match, begin. Kiba bent down and formed a ram seal, saying his technique mentally. His claws started lengthening, and he sped off. Just as Kiba was about to strike, Naruto disappeared just like Sasuke had. Kiba was nowhere near prepared for this and tried to compensate for the lack of a target on the end of his fist, which threw his balance way off. Naruto took advantage of this and appeared behind him, kicking him in the mid-back. Kiba stumbled and received a series of lightning-quick jabs and kicks from all directions. They weren't exactly powerful, however, they were fast and frequent, which more than made up for it. Akamaru decided to join the fray, and Kiba took a chance to make a roll to the left towards his dog, which jumped onto his back and barked before Kiba announced his technique. Jujin Bunshin. Akamaru turned into an exact copy of Kiba, and they charged at Naruto from different directions. They jumped into the air and began rotating, turning into something resembling a gray tornado. Getsuga. Orochimaru decided to intervene again instead of Naruto's curse seal, freezing him from the pain. The Jounins once again prepared to jump in as they saw the marks spreading over Naruto's face. However, Naruto started to grit his teeth, emitting a barely audible growl, which quickly morphed into a howl of primal fury. The seal started retreating, just like it had with Sasuke, and Naruto jumped out of the way at the last second, leaving Kiba and Akamaru to collide with each other before they had a chance to stop. Both of them were knocked out of their jutsu, and Akamaru's henge was even dispelled. Kiba slowly got up and took a step forwards, but Naruto used a lot of his quickly depleting energy to charge at Kiba, driving him into the nearby wall into near unconsciousness. Naruto was panting heavily, and stared at Kiba. Use your jutsus with forethought, or they'll be used against you, Baka. Naruto wobbled and fell to the floor, only to be caught by Kakashi's shin. Naruto looked up at him. Come on, we're going to get you two fixed up. Naruto nodded weakly, and Kakashi poofed back up to the team's position and then poofed out of the room, leaving everyone else to watch the matches. In some dark and scary back room, both boys were surrounded by a pair of concentric circles with kunai embedded at certain points. Kakashi had just finished painting the last of the kanji in blood up Naruto's back. Both lines of kanji centered around the cursed seals. Kakashi looked at his handiwork, nodded, and stepped forward. This seal technique utilizes your will powers as its source. Should you ever doubt or question your strength, the seal will temporarily break and allow the curse seal to activate. They both nodded in understanding as Kakashi formed a quick chain of hand seals and placed his hands on both boys' necks, which made them stiffen up. Fujihouen. The area flashed white and both boys screamed in agony as the lines of kanji slowly worked their way up Naruto and Sasuke's bodies in wave-like motions. Finally, the last of the kanji disappeared under Kakashi's hands, and he let go to reveal another seal had surrounded the cursed seal. Both boys looked at him, then each other, and fell forward, unconscious before they even hit the ground. Kakashi smeed, and he heard a sinister laugh behind him, and turned to see the silhouette of a man. The man stepped towards him, so the small amount of light in the room revealed his sandaled feet, which were ghostly white. Kakashi could sense the absolute aura of death coming off him. There was no mistaking who this man was. You're Orochimaru. Orochimaru emitted a little bit of purple chakra and stepped into the light to reveal that it was indeed him. It's been a while, Kakashi-kun. I have no business with you, however, I have business with the boys behind you. Kakashi straightened and glared at Orochimaru, not that it had any effect, but it would at least hide some of his fear. Why are you after them? You're lucky because you got what you wanted already. Kakashi stiffened and let out a muffled gasp. You didn't have that a long time ago. Kakashi lowered his head slightly, trying to hide his anger. Orochimaru pressed his advantage. That Sharingan in your left eye. I want it too. Uchiha's pores, that is. What is your purpose? The recently made village of sound is mine. You understand if I just say that, right? Kakashi humphed with confidence he didn't really have. What a stupid ambition. Oh my, that was blunt. But to accomplish my ambitions, I need pieces to become my arms and legs and accomplish things for me. So Sasuke and Naruto are two of those pieces? No. They are the supreme pieces. The ones taking the exam right now are merely sacrifices. Little did they know that one of said sacrifices was completing his role now, and had just had his arms blown off from the clogged pipes in his arms. In the back room, Orochimaru took several steps forward, before Kakashi readied the Raikiri. Don't get any closer to them. Even if you're one of the legendary Sannin, I can sacrifice my life to kill you. Orochimaru just laughed at the gesture, which made Kakashi suspicious. What's so funny? What you say and what you do not agree with each other. Nani? There is no point using that seal. You know, right? They both have hearts that will seek power no matter how dark it is, as long as it will let them accomplish their goals. They possess that kind of disposition. They are avengers. So you took advantage of that. But neither of them will. Eventually, they will seek me out. Orochimaru began turning away and walking off, and Kakashi let the Raikiri die down. Seek me out for power, that is. Also, you said that you could kill me? Try. That is, if you can. Orochimaru sent off a large wave of killing intent to prove his point. Kakashi stiffened at this and began shivering as Orochimaru walked away. Sacrifice my life to kill him? Am I mad? Kakashi stood up and put both boys over his shoulders, taking them to the hospital. After the last rather anticlimactic battle of Chuji rolling around in his meat-tack form, and Dosu from the hidden sound punching the ball of flesh as it was stuck in a crater, causing Chuji to deflate and fall unconscious, the winners were called forward to pick a number out of the box Enko was holding. The last two numbers left were 1 and 4. They gave Naruto 1 and Sasuke 4. The matchups were decided and the Hokage told them about the final test and that they had a month to train and rest before dismissing them. A few days later, outside a heavily guarded hospital room, Naruto and Sasuke had been placed in the same room under heavy guard. Kabuto had broken in once, but had been foiled by Kakashi, although the sneaky Sound Nin had actually escaped. Kakashi had no idea what to do. He knew he should train them, but both at once would be a serious handful. Sasuke still suited his own, plus having a set of Sharingan helped. He decided there was only one man who could help Naruto, and Kakashi had overheard two very angry women saying a man of similar description to the man in Kakashi's mind had been spotted peeking into the local women's hot springs, just the sort of thing this man was known to do. Kakashi planned a clever ruse: ask Ebisu to teach Naruto the water walking exercise at the hot springs, claiming Naruto hadn't learnt it yet, which was very easily believable. He hoped that Naruto's real teacher would be there to take over, although he would have loved to see the initial exchange between them. Taking Sasuke from his bed the moment the Uchiha woke up, they disappeared for a month, with no word from either of them. When Naruto woke up, he saw a note from Kakashi saying he'd taken Sasuke to train, and that he'd found him an even better teacher than he could be, explaining that he would be here shortly after he alerted the hospital staff he was awake. Naruto sighed, pressed the buzzer and saw a very angry-looking nurse storm in, just managing to keep herself from asking what the demon wanted. Naruto stared coolly at her, betraying no emotions. Where is he? The nurse had no clue what he was talking about, but decided he must be talking about Sasuke. Uchiha-san was. I don't mean Sasuke, I mean my new Sensei. The nurse really had no clue what the boy was on about when the door opened, revealing the Tokubetsu Jounin, Ebisu. Naruto sighed. How the hell could Kakashi possibly think this closet pervert is way better than him? I can tell you right now he's not. His power levels are way below Kakashi's. Think Kakashi's got a trick up his sleeve? Possibly, Kit. Naruto got out of bed, finding he was still in his clothes. He stared at Ebisu. Let's get moving. I don't know what Kakashi-sensei couldn't teach me that you could, but I want to see. Ebisu was used to this kind of rudeness from Konohamaru, but coming from the demon, it was unacceptable. You will address me as Ebisu-sensei. I'll address you by that title if you actually manage to teach me something I don't already know. If you can't, you're not really a teacher, are you? Ebisu hated to admit it, but the boy had a point. You couldn't really call someone a teacher if they didn't teach you something you didn't know. Luckily, Ebisu was confident. Very well. Let's go to the hot springs. Once they arrived there, Ebisu walked towards the hot spring. We're going to learn water walking. Naruto face faulted, but got up and started leaving. Ebisu was puzzled. Where are you going, Naruto? Don't you want to get stronger? I won't be fooling around with you. I already know water walking. Prove it. Naruto stopped. He really hated when people underestimated him, so he stormed back, and continued storming onto the water, much to Ebisu's dismay. Happy now? Naruto picked up a faint giggling noise from his left. He turned to see a white-haired old man giggling as he looked through a hole that led to the women's baths. Naruto saw his opportunity to get rid of his arrogant teacher. Naruto pointed. That old man is committing a shameless act. Stop him! Naturally, Ebisu took the bait. He ran at the man, screaming about people committing shameless acts in his precincts. The old man turned around and summoned a frog. Naruto became interested in this. The frog smacked Ebisu with its tongue, knocking the man out cold. Naruto knew he was weak, but this was a joke. Naruto looked up at the man in interest. Suddenly, something clicked. White-hair perverted frogs. Jiraiya? The man looked at the kid who was staring at him oddly. He smiled. That's me. Let me introduce myself. Jiraiya struck a dramatic pose, and started his long-winded speech on how he falls for no women's feeny wiles, and that he was the legendary Chunin of some mountain or other. By the time Jiraiya had finished, he saw the boy was asleep. Jiraiya's sweat dropped. He smacked the boy on the head, waking up with a start. Naruto looked around in mock grogginess. Huh! What time is it? How much of that did you hear? Naruto looked at him, rubbing his eyes for effect. Up to the part where you said your name. Jiraiya's face faltered. He'd heard absolutely nothing of it. Jiraiya sighed and turned his back to go. I'm off. Be a good kid and take him to the hospital. I'm not doing anything for him. Jiraiya stopped and looked at Naruto. Why not? Because he's just like the rest of the damn villagers. He thinks I'm nothing more than a piece of trash. Jiraiya looked at Naruto with full interest now. Why is that? Why do you care? If I told you, you'd just act like the rest of them. Try me. Naruto sighed. He knew this guy had a deep connection to Yondaime, so he went for it, hoping Jiraiya would be different than the rest. Yondaime sealed the Kyuubi in me when I was born. The entire village needed something to take their anger out on, and they chose me. Almost all of them hate me, and a few pity me. However, only one actually accepts me. Frankly, I would have been happier if Yondaime let Kyuubi finish the village off. Jiraiya was shocked to say the least. He had his suspicions, but what Naruto had just said confirmed it. What the hell had Sarutobi been doing? Naruto turned to leave. Naruto! Where are you going? Why does it matter to you? If you have to know, I'm going to train. Jiraiya sighed. He decided he might as well go for it. What if I take over your training? I can teach you some cool jutsus. Naruto stopped and his ears perked at the word jutsu. Jiraiya smiled as Naruto turned around. What exactly did you have in mind? Jiraiya smiled and he hopped onto the roof. Take him to the hospital and then meet me near the waterfall several kilometers south of here. Jiraiya jump-led from building to building and the frog that had been sitting there the whole time poofed out of existence. Naruto dragged Ebisu unceremoniously to the hospital's front door and left him there before charging back to the meeting spot. Jiraiya was there as promised, peeking through some bushes giggling. Naruto walked up and stood over him, casting a shadow over Jiraiya's notebook, causing him to look up to see Naruto standing over him. Jiraiya smiled uneasily and got up, leading Naruto over to the creek. Jiraiya looked at him. Have you ever used Kyuubi's chakra before? Naruto suddenly shuddered. Yes. Jiraiya wanted to get an understanding of what happened so as to teach Naruto this jutsu the best way possible. What happened? Naruto looked sullen and put his head to the side. I don't want to talk about it. Jiraiya sighed, pushing for an answer. Come on, I need to know if I want to teach you this jutsu. I committed a massacre. This was not the answer he was expecting. Not by a long shot. It also didn't answer Jiraiya's question he had meant to ask, so he had to keep pushing. What did it feel like when you released the chakra? Describe everything. Leave out the bits of your actions, just describe what it felt like. I felt so bloodthirsty I also had no control over my actions or senses. I can't put the feeling into words. Jiraiya nodded. Were you experiencing any extreme emotions at the time you release it? Yeah, I thought my brother had just died. He's the only one important to me. When I lost him, I didn't care what happened, I just wanted them dead. So I let Kyuubi take over my body. When I regained control. Okay, I get the idea. Well, it seems that for a transformation, you need to be experiencing extreme emotions. However, I think it's still possible to draw on Kyuubi's chakra without being taken over. I know, but I don't like doing it. I only do it if I have to. Jiraiya nodded, standing up. Alright, I'm going to teach you the Kuchios no Jutsu. No thanks, I don't want to have anything to do with frogs. But frogs are great. I mean, I'm sure they are. It's just what they symbolize that makes me want to have nothing to do with them. Jiraiya sighed. He had one idea left, but he doubted the boy could learn it in a month. What about this then? Jiraiya formed a spiraling ball of chakra on his left hand. Naruto recognized it immediately. Rasengan. Naruto thought over the pros and cons of learning the jutsu. The villagers would be severely pissed off that one of their almighty Yandame's trademark justice had been passed on to the demon boy, but it would come in handy for his goals in life. Naruto nodded. Sounds good. Jiraiya sat back down. We'll need some training materials. Get me a small number of water balance. Naruto nodded and headed into town again, finally finding a place that would let him buy the damn things, even if it was at 3 times the normal price. It was a small price to pay for learning a powerful jutsu. Naruto returned with the water balance. Jiraiya filled one up with water from the river and held it in his palm. Naruto, you remember when I showed you the full Rasengan, right? Naruto nodded. What did you see? Naruto thought about it. You initially condensed a huge amount of chakra into a single point, and then let it radiate out, while pumping more into it. It got faster and faster the longer you held it. Jiraiya nodded. Exactly. This jutsu has to be learnt in 3 stages. The first stage is rotation. Watch. Naruto watched as a large number of points on the surface of the water balloon poked outwards before the balloon burst, spraying water everywhere. Jiraiya smiled. Do you want an explanation of the principles, or do you want to just try? Naruto had a fairly good idea of what Jiraiya did to make the balloon pop. He should be able to get it by the end of the day. I'll just try it. Jiraiya smirked, before filling another balloon with water and tossing it to Naruto. Jiraiya looked at Naruto confidently. That jutsu took 3 years for the Yandame to create and master. Naruto looked back, nonplussed. It takes far less time to learn something already known than it does to be the first one to find it out through experimentation. Jiraiya conceded the point to Naruto. Even he had learned it in a fortnight. Jiraiya left Naruto to try various methods of getting the balloon to pop, with guidance from the Kyuubi. By about 3 in the afternoon, Naruto was getting damn close. Spinning chakra in many different directions was not something ninjas did often, if at all. Finally, Naruto managed to yes another spin into it, and the balloon finally broke from the stress, water flying everywhere. Naruto looked at Jiraiya, who was still peeking at the girls bathing at the waterfall. Naruto growled, picking up a water balloon, filling it with water before holding it over Jiraiya's head, careful not to let his shadow show. Naruto rotated his chakra throughout the water and the balloon poked all over Jiraiya, who spluttered and looked to see Naruto staring at him. First stage complete. 2 days later, back at the waterfall. Jiraiya had told Naruto to go home, collecting a bunch of rubber balls for training the next day. Naruto had returned with a bag full from the same store. Again, the woman charged triple price. Naruto made sure to get her back later with a prank or something, but for now, he needed to train. Once he arrived, he found Jiraiya actually meditating, and not peeking. Jiraiya opened his eyes as he saw Naruto approach. Jiraiya made a pass-it-to-me motion with his hand, so Naruto threw a rubber ball at him. Jiraiya held the ball out in front of him. First step was rotation. Second is power. You have to make this ball pop like this. The ball started morphing hideously before exploding, releasing swirls of chakra. Jiraiya continued his explanation. This step is harder